Chapter 1000. Speaking of which, I have to thank you, Crocodile Shadow said with a sinister smile. If you didn't kill Crown Prince Crocodile, I don't know when those old bastards will let me out. Crocodile Shadow's words sent chills down everyone's spines. Although it was just a simple sentence, the resentment in his words made everyone shudder in fear. A young genius, who was only a few hundred years old, had to live in the shadow of another person as the clan's reserve force. Although Crocodile Shadow gave him a cultivation environment not inferior to Crown Prince Crocodile, it was equivalent to being sacrificed for a young man at this age. If Yi Shiwen did not kill Crown Prince Crocodile, he might have to live in the shadow of Crown Prince Crocodile for the rest of his life. As one of the hidden forces of the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan, it was a cruel thing for a young man. For an expert of the younger generation, this was a cruel thing to do. Everyone could imagine how much resentment Crocodiling had for the clan. But when facing the will of the entire clan, even if he was reluctant, he had no choice. He could only be Crown Prince Crocodile Shadow and live under Crown Prince Crocodile Shadow. As a behemoth that had existed for countless years, the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan had long formed its own set of rules and regulations. While these vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan experts enjoyed the benefits of belonging to the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan, they were also bound by these rules. In any case, this was the naked reality. Now that Crown Prince Crocodile is no longer pressing on my head, I can breathe the air of this world freely. Ha ha ha! Crocodile Shadow laughed as he spoke. It was as if he thought of something funny. He laughed so hard that tears came out of his eyes. Suddenly, Crocodile Shadow stopped laughing. He looked at Yi Shiwen and said, "To thank you, I will personally send you to hell. From now on, your name will be recorded in history. You will be the first Heaven's Pride that I kill." Recorded in history? I don't want to be recorded in history. You will not be the first genius I kill. Yi Shiwen narrowed his eyes and said coldly. His expression looked abnormally indifferent. If Crown Prince Crocodile was insolent like a lion dominating the world, then Crocodile Shadow was like a poisonous snake in the shadow. He might jump out of the shadow at any time and deal a fatal blow. This kind of venomous snake was even more terrifying than the lions on the surface. Crocodile Shadow seemed to not hear Yi Shiwen's words, or he completely ignored Yi Shiwen's words. He just said coldly, "Although those old guys can't wait for you to die, I will allow you to live until the duel. At that time, I will kill you in front of everyone. Crown Prince Crocodile is nothing. Only I am the one who should lead the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan's future." Everyone took a deep breath. Crocodile Shadow planned to kill Yi Shiwen in front of everyone to establish his prestige. He was suppressed by Crown Prince Crocodile all year round and had to obey the arrangements of the entire clan. He must be Crown Prince Crocodile Shadow, the secret force cultivated by the clan. If it weren't for Crown Prince Crocodile dying in Yi Shiwen's hands this time, he might not have a chance to stand out in this life. His resentment toward Crown Prince Crocodile was imaginable. Now Crown Prince Crocodile died in Yi Shiwen's hands. If he could kill Yi Shiwen in front of everyone, wouldn't it prove that he was much stronger than Crown Prince Crocodile? Indirectly, it would be a slap in the face to the elders who decided to hide him. However, Crocodile Shadow was too confident. Even if he was on par with Crown Prince Crocodile, the person in front of him was the one who slaughtered Crown Prince Crocodile. How could he be so confident to kill Yi Shiwen in the duel? What if he was killed by Yi Shiwen instead? Obviously, Crocodile Shadow did not think of this result. Perhaps in his heart, this would not happen at all. Don't try to escape. You should know how much resentment those old fellows in our clan have towards you. You've destroyed the hope that they've personally forged. Ha! Once you leave the top 100 island, I'm afraid that they'll immediately chase after you. I hope that you won't die by their hands, but by my hands. Crocodile Shadow said plainly. Crown Prince Crocodile's death did not seem to be worth being sad for him. Even for the entire clan, it was a sad thing. But for him, it was also a matter worth celebrating, because only when Crown Prince Crocodile died, he could stand up. Escape? Why should I escape? Yi Shiwen squinted his eyes and said with a smile, Now the old guys in your clan must hate me. But if I kill another genius, will they go crazy? Yi Shiwen looked at Crocodile Shadow with undisguised murderous intentions. Although he did not have much hatred with Crocodile Shadow, and it was thanks to Yi Shiwen that Crocodile Shadow could appear in front of everyone openly now, the two of them were in completely different positions. The relationship between the two sides was one of life and death. If Crocodile Shadow wanted to gain the recognition of the vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan, to eliminate Crown Prince Crocodile's influence, and to prove that he was stronger than Crown Prince Crocodile, there was no faster way than to kill Yi Shiwen directly. For Yi Shiwen, it was very simple. There was only one reason. Whoever wanted to kill him, he would kill him. There were no other accidents, and it was not complicated at all. That was it. Aha, kill me? I appreciate your arrogance. Enjoy your last moments, Crocodile Shadow said with a laugh. He seemed to have Yi Shiwen in his grasp, even if Yi Shiwen had killed Crown Prince Crocodile, who was equally famous with him. There are many people who have said this to me, but they are all dead, said Yi Shiwen faintly. Everyone was silent. Looking at the two people in the field who were arguing, both sides had strong confidence. Each of these geniuses had confidence that ordinary people did not have. The invincible confidence brought by the invincible battle record was necessary to embark on the martial arts path. People without this confidence would have been eliminated long ago, let alone geniuses like them. If they did not have the confidence to suppress everything, they could not go this far at all. Listening to the confrontation between the two, it was even more hidden. Both sides seemed to have the other in their grasp, as if they could kill each other in the next confrontation. Among the two, one of them must be able to do it, but they had not really fought yet. Many people dared not make a rash decision now. Needless to say, Yi Shiwen's strength was now well known in the Flourish Cloud Sea region. It was enough to explain everything. Since Crocodile Shadow was pushed out to replace Crown Prince Crocodile, he would not be inferior to Crown Prince Crocodile no matter how bad he was. He was another genius. When the two sides fought, even a moment of hesitation could determine the outcome. There were too many uncertainties. You are that Crocodile Shadow. What is there to be arrogant about? You are just a person who has been suppressed by Crown Prince Crocodile for so many years. Bai Hanmo suddenly interjected with disdain in his words. When Crocodile Shadow heard this, his face changed slightly. Then, he glanced at Bai Hanmo coldly. He didn't say anything, but said directly, "Live well. Pray that you don't meet me too early. Otherwise, this will be your death." Under the leadership of Crocodile Shadow, the vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan experts evacuated one after another. The injured vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan experts were unconscious on the ground and taken away. Looking at the backs of Crocodile Shadow and the others leaving, Bai Hanmo sighed and said, "It's a pity. How can that guy be so calm? If he dares to attack, I will take the opportunity to kill him. In this case, Brother Yi will have one less enemy to win the championship." Yi Shiwen looked at Bai Hanmo with some amazement. He didn't expect Bai Hanmo to have such a plan. No wonder he suddenly intervened. Yi Shiwen was a little curious in his heart. What kind of trump card did Bai Hanmo have in his hand? He dared to guarantee that he could kill Crocodile Shadow. Although Yi Shiwen only roughly felt Crocodile Shadow's strength, he was confident that Crocodile Shadow would not be inferior to Crown Prince Crocodile. Such a person, even Yi Shiwen had a headache. Bai Hanmo actually had the confidence to kill Crocodile Shadow. Yi Shiwen absolutely did not believe that Bai Hanmo spoke arrogantly because he did not know Crocodile Shadow's strength. Since even Bai Hanmo could see that Crocodile Shadow would be a formidable enemy, Bai Hanmo obviously would not speak arrogantly because he made a mistake. He must be prepared. "If you kill him here, then those crocodiles will probably go crazy," said Yao Qian with a smile. She knew it best. Just like how the vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan did not dare to make a move just now. If Yi Shiwen killed Crocodile Shadow here, then the vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan experts would go crazy and take action immediately. If Crocodile Shadow died in the arena, then they had nothing to say. Your sister Yao is right. Not to mention, Crocodile Shadow is not the only opponent this year. Even if you kill Crocodile Shadow, it won't make much difference. Yi Shiwen chuckled softly. What's more, a man should defeat strong enemies one by one and climb to the top. That is the joy of life. Who was Yi Shiwen afraid of? It had never happened before. Even if it was a powerful enemy, he had never been afraid. Moreover, they were all experts of the younger generation. If he had to rely on tricks to win, then his path of martial arts would most likely be stagnant. Brother Yi, you are right. It's just that Crocodile Shadow is not easy to deal with. Now everyone is saying that Brother Yi is a popular candidate. Those sea creature clans are too arrogant. Kill them and let them know what's good for them. Bai Hamo quickly forgot what happened just now and said with a smile, Let's go. This time, I will go all out. Chapter 1001. Dang! A bell rang out of nowhere and spread throughout the entire top 100 island. The powerful sound wave shattered the clouds in the sky in an instant. The scorching sun was like fire, and when it landed on the island, it was like balls of flames. The top 100 island, which was already relatively lively, suddenly boiled up. Everyone knew that with the ringing of this bell, the top 100 list competition would begin. All the young experts who wanted to participate could sign up and receive their own number tags. Then, they would decide who their opponent was based on their number tags. Apart from the original top 100 who could be seeded players, everyone else had to participate in battle after battle, all the way until they reached the top 100. Although Yi Shiwen had a crazy record of beheading Crown Prince Crocodile, he had to fight one battle at a time like everyone else because he was not on the list. In the center of the top 100 island, there was a huge square. The edge could not be seen from a distance. A vast number of people poured in from all directions. On the square, there were several arenas standing on the square. There were hundreds of them. Around the square, there were many stands that extended into the depths of the clouds. There were many layers of space, and it was unknown how many there were. There might be millions of spectators watching the battles. If it was just a normal space, it would be impossible to accommodate so many people at the same time. Those extending into the depths of the clouds were subspaces attached to the top 100 island space. They were also spaces developed by the predecessors. However, not many people paid attention to the top 100 list competition at the beginning. Later, more and more people paid attention to it. The stands were constantly expanding. Of course, in the deepest part of the cloud platform, there were the positions of the powerful figures of the major forces. It was in the depths of the cloud platform that the eyes could not reach. Although the locations seemed to be similar, it was not in the same space at all. Yi Shiwen looked around and saw a sea of people. The experts of various clans had emerged in this crowd. Of course, the human race was the most numerous among them. The major clans of the sea race were too scattered. So, it seemed that the human race didn't have as many experts as the human race. However, despite the large number of people present, the entire scene appeared to be in an orderly manner. After all, no one knew how many times this event had been held. Thus, when the various major powers joined hands to hold this event, it was very smooth. Everything was done in an orderly manner. Wow, so many people! Bai Hanmo, who was next to Yi Shiwen, couldn't help but exclaim. It was not without reason that the top 100 list competition could become a grand event that the entire flourished Cloud Sea region paid attention to. With so many young experts, almost all the experts of the younger generation in the flourished Cloud Sea region were captured in one fell swoop. These were only the top experts of the younger generation. One could imagine that although the top 100 list was looked down upon by some experts, in reality, it was still very valuable. Although these 100 people might not be called the strongest 100 young experts in the flourished Cloud Sea region, they were almost there. Although there were fish that slipped through the net, they could still represent the top level. Young juniors. At this moment, an unknown voice spread throughout the entire plaza. Countless young martial artists quieted down. I'm very happy that all of you can participate in the top 100 rankings this time. Without a doubt, all of you are the cream of the crop among the younger generation. I won't say anything unnecessary. I'm sure all of you know what the honor of the top 100 rankings means. All the young warriors held their breath at once. Indeed, they knew very well what the honor of the top 100 list meant. Those who could participate in the top 100 list competition were already considered the best among the younger generation. The weakest among them was the Transcendent Realm 5th level or above. There was no doubt that these were the best of the younger generation if they could enter the Transcendent Realm 5th level or above within the age of 500. However, he was only one of the best. If he could enter the top 100 list, then the situation would be completely different. Every time the top 100 list was announced, it could spread throughout the Flourish Cloud Sea region at once. In other words, each top 100 list could become famous all at once. For these young martial artists, there was no doubt that this was a huge attraction. I won't say much. Let's get started. With an understatement, the entire competition began. As soon as the voice fell, the name tags in the hands of many people flashed with a brilliant light, bringing them to different arenas. These arenas were specially reinforced and very sturdy. Although they seemed to be on this plaza, they were actually in a different space. It was impossible to walk in using the general method. This was also to prevent the people in the competition from affecting each other. The people in the stands could also choose to watch any competition at will. Yi Shiwen felt that a lot of eyes had fallen on him since the beginning of the competition. Although he wasn't a seeded player, but everyone was well aware of his strength. Not to mention being a seeded player in the top 100, even the top 10 wouldn't be a problem for him. Not only Yi Shiwen, but Bai Hanmo and Yao Qian next to him were also the focus of everyone's attention. Yao Qian was a seeded player in the top 100 in the previous tournament. Coupled with her beauty, she was the focus of countless people's attention. Although Bai Hanmo was not as famous as Yi Shiwen and Yao Qian, the news of him punching the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan's Transcendent Realm 8th level expert still spread in a small range. His fame began to gradually spread. Among the three, Yao Qian, who was a seeded player in the top 100, was the most relaxed. Before going through the previous selections, it was not her turn to fight. Yi Shiwen and Bai Hanmo could be summoned at any time. In the arena, it's time for me to show off my skills. Bai Hanmo soon received the notice of the competition, and the first round of the competition began soon. Yi Shiwen did not pay attention to Bai Hanmo's competition. In his opinion, it was not necessary at all. With the top 100 seeded players being selected, Bai Hanmo's strength was enough to sweep the invincible. If he was given another year or two to step into the Transcendent Realm 9th level, he could even compete with experts like the Poisonous Young Master, Flame Young Master. There was no need to worry at all. Sure enough, it didn't take long for Bai Hanmo to come out with a smile. "How is it?" asked Yao Qian with concern. "Are you hurt?" "Sister Yao, you should ask about my opponent." "How did I get hurt?" "The opponent is not my opponent at all," said Bai Hanmo with dissatisfaction. Obviously, he was very dissatisfied with Yao Qian doubting his combat power. Not long after Bai Hanmo came out, Yi Shiwen also received the notice of the competition. Following the guidance of the nameplate, Yi Shiwen stepped directly into the arena. Yi Shiwen entered quickly. The opponent had not arrived yet. Yi Shiwen just closed his eyes slightly to rest. It didn't take long for the opponent to enter the arena. It was a Sea Clan expert. There was no doubt that he would be Yi Shiwen's opponent in the first round. The young Sea Clan expert didn't look at Yi Shiwen at all. He didn't even announce his name. He just said coldly, "I'll give you a chance. Surrender now. Otherwise, don't blame me for being ruthless." Insolent. Not only Yi Shiwen, but many spectators in the stands who were paying attention to Yi Shiwen's battle suddenly had such a feeling. The top 100 contestants were selected as seeded contestants. As a top expert who could behead Crown Prince Crocodile, Yi Shiwen's battle naturally attracted a lot of attention. Unless there were relatives and friends participating in the competition, most of those who knew Yi Shiwen were watching Yi Shiwen's battle. Who is this Sea Clan? How can he be so arrogant? Does he know who Yi Shiwen in front of him is? Who is this person? Insolent? Does he not know Yi Shiwen? This person is dead. Yi Shiwen can even behead Crown Prince Crocodile. This person is arrogant in front of him. He is asking for trouble. At this time, everyone was on Yi Shiwen's side. After all, no matter how strong the Sea Clan was, could he be stronger than Crown Prince Crocodile? Crown Prince Crocodile was not his opponent, let alone this Sea Clan expert. Seeing that Yi Shiwen did not respond, The Sea Clan expert suddenly became a little impatient. He instantly released his aura. It turned out to be a Transcendent Realm 8th level expert. Although he had just entered the 8th level, Transcendent Realm 8th level was still a Transcendent Realm 8th level expert. He was a genuine top expert. Only then did everyone understand why this young Sea Clan expert had such a condescending look. It turned out that he had such a strong foundation. Transcendent Realm 8th level. Even among this batch of geniuses, he could at least enter the top 30 or even the top 20. In everyone's cognition, the poisonous young master and others were only Transcendent Realm 8th level peak. This unknown Sea Clan young man was actually an expert of the same level as them. If it were in previous sessions, he would at least be in the top 10. This was another dark horse who had never been on the top 100 list. If he had been on the top 100 list, everyone would have an impression of him. Moreover, he was a very strong dark horse. Unfortunately, he met Yi Shiwen. You are not bad. You could persist under my aura until now. Unfortunately, you met me. The young Sea Clan expert glanced at Yi Shiwen indifferently and said. A long sword appeared in his hand, emanating sword intent. Chapter 1002. Unfortunately, you met me? Many people wanted to laugh. Is it really a pity? Who should be the one feeling pity? Logically speaking, a Transcendent Realm 8th level expert should be invincible unless he encountered the poisonous young master, Flame Young Master, Pei Xingqian, and others. Unfortunately, he encountered each other. It's a pity that he met me. This sentence is true, but it's not certain who should be the one feeling pity. Clangs. The long sword in his hand suddenly bloomed with a dazzling light. The sword light was shocking, and it instantly rushed in front of Yi Shiwen. The long sword seemed to have penetrated the vast sky. In the next second, it was already in front of Yi Shiwen. It was impossible to guard against it. This sword could definitely be called a fast sword. However, no matter how fast it was impossible to be faster than Yi Shiwen. All of this was completely in Yi Shiwen's eyes. There were no secrets at all. He saw through it in an instant. Is that all? Yi Shiwen suddenly moved. His hand glowed with golden divine light. His big hand instantly reached out and directly grabbed the sword light that pounced on him. Boom! The young Sea Clan expert's sword light was crushed by Yi Shiwen in an instant. It was like a piece of paper. It was impossible to penetrate Yi Shiwen's golden divinity. Yi Shiwen blasted another punch. The young Sea Clan expert moved with his sword. His figure had just rushed over, but he did not expect Yi Shiwen to crush his sword light in an instant. He was caught off guard. Yi Shiwen's punch had already arrived. Boom! The young Sea Clan expert was directly blasted in the chest on the spot. His body flew out, and a mouthful of blood spurted all over the sky. With just this punch, he was severely injured. Yi Shiwen's fist force was enough to overturn rivers and seas. Such a strange force was like a star colossus in human form. It was imaginable how powerful it would be if it hit a person. If the opponent was not a Transcendent Realm 8th level expert, he would be killed directly with just this punch. This was under the condition that Yi Shiwen could restrain his strength. Before his breakthrough, he could already kill a Transcendent Realm 9th level expert, let alone now. All of this happened in a flash. The young Sea Clan expert who was still wielding his sword was defeated by Yi Shiwen's sword almost instantly. He simply had no power to fight back. Suddenly, the spectators who were paying attention to Yi Shiwen's battle were in an uproar. Many people couldn't see the confrontation between Yi Shiwen and the Transcendent Realm 8th level expert. This was because they were the weakest among them, and the cultivation of that sea race youth was completely above most of the spectators. But there were no absolutes in the world. There were always some veteran Transcendent Realm 9th level experts, or even half-step Law Manifestation Realm experts paying attention to Yi Shiwen's battle. Everyone quickly learned what happened from their mouths. This is too outrageous. Although it is said that Yi Shiwen has the ability to kill Transcendent Realm 9th level experts, that is a Transcendent Realm 8th level expert. He can't even block one punch from him. How strong is he? Hiss. It's a mistake that he didn't make it into the top 100 seeded contestants. With such strength, it won't be a problem for him to make it into the top 100. How can Yi Shiwen be so strong? The crowd was like a pot of boiling water. boiling with excitement. Although everyone was more optimistic about Yi Shiwen, for them, this should be an unusually fierce battle. They didn't expect the battle to be completely one-sided from the beginning. This Sea Clan youth was not Yi Shiwen's opponent at all. Those Sea Clan experts didn't look good at this time. In any case, the competition between the Sea Clan and the Human Clan was the general trend. After countless years of competition, there might not be a huge conflict in the flourished Cloud Sea region. However, it was undeniable that the filth between the Sea Clan and the Human Clan had always existed. The competition in the top 100 list focused on individual honor, but it was also an extension of the confrontation between the Sea Clan and the Human Clan. In the top 100 list, how many Human Clan experts were there? How many Sea Clan experts were there? How many in the top 50? How many in the top 10? How many in the final champion? Due to the sudden emergence of young Master Hai Long, the experts of the Sea Clan were completely suppressed. This was something that many experts of the Sea Clan could not bear to see. It was just that they couldn't compete in person. At this time, it was rare to see a young Sea Clan expert. If it weren't for Yi Shiwen, then he was likely to break into the top 20 or even the top 10. But because of Yi Shiwen, he was eliminated in the first round. How could they feel good at this time? Yi Shiwen, Yi Shiwen, Yi Shiwen. Somewhere in the stands, the poisonous young master looked coldly at Yi Shiwen, who had just defeated the Sea Clan youth in one move. It had nothing to do with the glory of the Sea Clan. Even the internal struggle of the Sea Clan was no less than that of the Human Clan. It was even crueler than the struggle between the Sea Clan and the Human Clan. This was why the Human Clan could gain a foothold in the Endless Sea region despite being in a weak position. Although the human race was also complicated, it was much better than the Sea Folk. In any case, they were still part of the same race. On the other hand, although the Sea Folk claimed to be a whole race, they didn't see it that way. They were also divided into different races, and the competition between them was even greater than the competition with the humans. This was because the scope of the Human Clan's activities were on the islands and the surface of the water. They wouldn't go deep into the sea, and the fierce competition between the various Sea Clans was the main theme of everything. He just hated Yi Shiwen and wanted to tear him into pieces. At this time, he saw Yi Shiwen in the limelight. How could he be happy? However, because he was now a top 100 seeded player, he basically had nothing to do in these rounds. He could only watch and couldn't do anything to Yi Shiwen. What? Want to kill him? I don't think you have the strength to do so. Beside him, the flame young master mercilessly taunted, causing the poisonous young master to frown. The experts of the poisonous flaming dragon clan had long since become accustomed to such occurrences. It would be strange if they stopped fighting one day. Ah, well done. On another grandstand, Pei Xingchen saw that Yi Shiwen had defeated that sea race youth with a single punch and immediately applauded again and again. That sea race boy is too arrogant. It's time to teach him a lesson. Is this the Yi Shiwen you were talking about? Beside him, a young man in a luxurious robe said. He was as gentle as jade and looked abnormally gentle, but his face looked a little pale and sickly. If someone was singing, they would recognize that this was the famous Sea Dragon young master of the Sea Dragon Mansion. Beside them, there were several young experts in groups of 3 to 5. They were also the top 100 young heroes in the top 100 list. Others wouldn't even have the opportunity to get close to them, let alone sit and discuss with them. Even so, they were all seeded players in the top 100 list. But when facing Sea Dragon Young Master and Pei Xingchen, they were more or less reserved. After all, their strength was too far from the two in front of them. In other words, they were not on the same level at all. Yes, it's him. I met him in the Chaos Demon Sea. Pei Xingchen nodded hurriedly and said, "This time, your position as the champion is not so stable. You may be overthrown at any time." "Just you alone? You're still lacking if you want to flip me over," Sea Dragon Young Master said with a chuckle. He didn't care about Pei Xingchen's slightly threatening words at all. "This time, I have prepared a surprise for you. Moreover, it won't be just me. That brat Yi Shiwen will also give you a big surprise." Pei Xingchen looked at Yi Shiwen with bright eyes. He seemed to have more confidence in himself than in himself. It seems that the princess has also come out of close cultivation this time. You have a lot of competitors. In addition to the dead crown prince crocodile, there are poisonous flaming dragon clan's poisonous young master, flaming young master, and sky-splitting whales Jing Wuhui. I heard that even the demonic sea beast clan sent the siblings Boundless Sea and Wuyo. Hee, it's an unprecedented grand occasion. It's much more interesting than the previous few tournaments. These people are not only my opponents, but also yours. Young Master Hai Long was speechless as he looked at Pei Xingqian, who seemed to be secretly delighted. These people weren't just his opponents. For anyone who aspired to be the champion, these were strong enemies that had to be defeated. What do I have to worry about? I am not the champion. Even if I lose, so what? You are different. If you lose, TSK, it will be terrible. Pei Xingqian said with a gloating look. He didn't seem to care about these people at all. Perhaps he didn't even care about the top 100 list. For others, they had to compete with the younger generation experts among tens of thousands of people for these 100 seats. But for them, the real opponents were only a few people. The others were not a concern at all. There was no need to pay too much attention at all. Now, only a few people such as Yi Shiwen, Crocodile Shadow, Boundless Sea, and the High siblings were added. There was still no need to pay attention to the others. Kid, you are too undisciplined. Otherwise, you might have surpassed me long ago. Sea Dragon Young Master said with a smile. I'm not diligent enough in my cultivation. I'm just short of spending all my time on cultivation. There are so many geniuses in the world, and I'm not the most outstanding one. It's enough for you to stand in front of me. Do you want to drag me down with you? Pei Xingqian curled his lips and said, let's talk about Crocodile Shadow. If it weren't for Crown Prince Crocodile's death, I would have thought he was dead. I didn't expect to see him again. Chapter 1003. Yi Shiwen naturally didn't know that he had become the topic of discussion among others. After successfully defeating the first opponent and obtaining his first victory, Yi Shiwen was teleported out of the arena by the nameplate. As soon as he was teleported out of the arena, he immediately met up with Bai Hanmo and others. Compared to Yi Shiwen's indifference to Bai Hanmo's battle, Bai Hanmo had been paying attention to Yi Shiwen's battle. Seeing Yi Shiwen easily won, Bai Hanmo laughed and said, Brother Yi, you did a great job. That Sea Clan kid is too arrogant. He should be taught a lesson. But then Yi Shiwen also learned another piece of news. In addition to him, Crocodile Shadow of the Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile Clan and Boundless Sea and Hai Wuyo in the Sea Demon Clan also successfully passed the first round and became the focus of everyone. For many big shots, the entire first few rounds of selection were not worth watching at all. It was just child's play. It was nothing at all. But this time, it was different because there were several tyrannical experts who were not in the top 100 list. For example, Yi Shiwen, the mysterious human clan expert with unknown origins. There was also Crocodile Shadow. Although he had the background of the Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile Clan, he was not in the top 100 list because he had been hidden for so many years. Hence, he had to choose to fight his way up from the bottom. There were also several young Sea Demon Clan experts led by Boundless Sea and Hai Wuyo, who participated in the competition for the first time. Although these were all characters who could enter the top 10, they were now hindered by the rules. Now, they had to keep fighting in these rounds and kill their way out. Their battle quickly attracted everyone's attention. Every news about them would become the focus of everyone's attention. Among these four people, there was no doubt that Yi Shiwen was the last to compete. Before this, Boundless Sea, Hai Wuyo, Xiaomei, and Crocodile Shadow had already passed the test. Their battle was also the same as Yi Shiwen's. It was completely clean and neat. Although the opponents were only 3 Transcendent Realm 5th level and 6th level warriors, they dealt with them very quickly. It was also somewhat impressive. Many people even made malicious guesses, hoping that the 4 of them would encounter each other and fight to the death. But no matter what, the first round ended quickly. All the matches were over. Some people were happy and some were sad. Some people passed the first round easily, some barely passed the first round, and most people didn't even pass the first round. It was really a feeling of the myriad of emotions in life. However, no one was in the mood to care about these things that seemed insignificant to them, even for those who won. Because very soon, the second round of the competition began. Almost without any pause, the second round of the competition began. In the second round, Yi Shiwen's opponent was a young, Transcendent Realm 6th level human expert. However, when he saw Yi Shiwen, he immediately surrendered without hesitation. He had heard of Yi Shiwen's previous battle record. Transcendent Realm 8th level experts were not his opponent and were easily defeated by Yi Shiwen. Naturally, he did not dare to stop Yi Shiwen. In fact, after the first round, Yi Shiwen, Crocodile Shadow, Boundless Sea, Boundless Sea, Boundless Sea, and Boundless Sea immediately became the popular candidates to advance. They were basically untouchable opponents. If they encountered such an opponent, they could only blame it on their bad luck. In addition to him, there were a group of popular opponents such as Bai Hanmo. For Yi Shiwen, this competition system was similar to the qualifier knockout. It was not difficult for him at all. After the second round passed easily, he went through 3 more rounds in a row. Almost every round did not encounter any decent resistance. There was no pressure at all. In these 5 rounds of competition, Yi Shiwen, Crocodile Shadow, and others quickly became the focus of everyone's attention. In particular, Yi Shiwen's and others' battle record became the focus of everyone's debate. From the start, no one could withstand a single move from them. Everything was just as everyone had imagined. In addition to Yi Shiwen and the other 3, there were several young top experts such as Bai Hanmo who suddenly emerged. They all possessed the strength of Transcendent Realm 8th level peak. This result made many people a little overjoyed, but for Yi Shiwen, he was a little disappointed. Although there were dark horses, none of them surprised him too much. There was no Transcendent Realm 9th level existence. Perhaps there were some, but they were still hiding their strength. This was also very possible. Yi Shiwen was hiding his strength. Perhaps in the eyes of others, his performance was dazzling enough, but he did not even exert 1/10 of his strength. Even the Transcendent Realm 8th level expert in the first round could not make him exert more strength. Unless he encountered an expert at the level of Crown Prince Crocodile, he would go all out. To him, this year's top 100 list was already messy enough. Since that was the case, there was no harm in making it even messier. On the contrary, being able to defeat these experts to ascend to the top was really the best thing he could do. Soon, the competition reached the 6th round. After the 6th round, the experts in the top 100 list, who were initially selected as seeded contestants, now joined the battle. This caused the battle to become even more intense. The battle was already very intense, but because of the participation of the top 100 seeded fighters, it became even more intense. Yi Shiwen suddenly felt that a lot of attention on him had disappeared all of a sudden, because after the top 100 seeded contestants were announced, his original halo had also disappeared, especially when there was a champion like Sea Dragon Young Master among them. After entering the 6th round, the overall level of the competition was much higher. The Transcendent Realm 5th level and 6th level warriors had long been eliminated. It was impossible for them to last until now. Those who could last until now were experts above the Transcendent Realm 7th level. These people who could cultivate to such a level in just a few hundred years could be regarded as geniuses. By now, there were only 300 people left in the entire field. This was the case with the top 100 seeded contestants included. As long as they could win 2 more rounds, they could naturally enter the top 100 list. After that, the disdain would be the competition within the top 100 list. It was the competition for rankings, not the competition between rankings. Yi Shiwen's contestant in the 6th round was also a seeded contestant in the top 100 list. He was a young, Transcendent Realm 7th level human warrior. As soon as this young warrior came up, he saw that his opponent was actually Yi Shiwen. He couldn't help but feel a little bitter. Is the heavens not blessing me? The opponent in the 6th round is actually Yi Shiwen. Previously, when the top 100 seeded contestants were resting, he had been paying attention to the dark horse contestants that might suddenly emerge. Almost every ranking, there would always be some such dark horse contestants. Yi Shiwen was undoubtedly the best among the best. He could even defeat the top 10 Crown Prince Crocodile. Almost no one had the intention to fight against such an expert. Am I really going to be eliminated outside the top 100 list? However, I have already reached the stage. I naturally can't give up easily. At this time, he stepped forward and said, I'm Lucien. Please advise me. With that said, in an instant, a huge aura emerged from Lucien's body. The Transcendent Realm's 7th level peak aura swept out instantly, crushing towards Yi Shiwen mightily. Seeing the aura released by Lucien, everyone suddenly exclaimed. Some people even began to suck in a breath of cold air. This was the first time a seeded contestant in the top 100 list joined the battle. Lucien's previous ranking on the list was not high, only around 80. He had just entered the Transcendent Realm 4th level. In just a short span of 30 years, these experts at the bottom of the top 100 list had already entered the Transcendent Realm's 7th level. Although they knew that they must have made a lot of progress compared to the previous tournament, they did not expect that they would progress so fast. This Lucien is already so powerful. In that case, wouldn't those who are already in the top 50 on the list have already entered the Transcendent Realm 8th level? According to the ranking of the previous tournament, Transcendent Realm 8th level could already be ranked in the top 10. But now it seemed that they could barely enter the top 50. I'm afraid this tournament will be unprecedented. In the past, a Transcendent Realm 8th level could easily enter the top 10. Now, I'm afraid that only Transcendent Realm 8th level can enter the top 50. Our Flourish Cloud Sea region hasn't had a tournament comparable to this one in the past 10,000 years. Thinking of this, many people suddenly became excited. It was not wrong to recognize social creatures. Only in fierce competition could peerless geniuses be born. Whenever an unprecedented genius was born, there would always be one, or even a few, or even a group of equally outstanding geniuses shining. Only in the midst of fierce competition would a person's sense of competition become more and more intense. The stronger their forces, the stronger the Flourish Cloud Sea region's strength. Yi Shiwen narrowed his eyes. He saw everything about Lucien in front of him. Although he was only at Transcendent Realm 6th level, everything about Lucien fell into his eyes. There were no secrets to speak of. Take this! The teenager shouted loudly, and his figure suddenly disappeared. Then, he instantly appeared behind Yi Shiwen, and his fist suddenly turned into a mountain and directly blasted down. Chapter 1004. Take this! The young man yelled. His figure suddenly disappeared, and he appeared behind Yi Shiwen in an instant. His fist suddenly turned into a mountain, slamming down directly. Lucien's fist pressure was like a mountain, making everyone feel a heavy pressure in an instant. The Transcendent Realm's 7th level expert deserved his reputation. He was a level higher than Yi Shiwen's current realm. Of course, his combat prowess was naturally incomparable to Yi Shiwen. A fiery saber aura in Yi Shiwen's hand swept up instantly. He turned around and slashed behind him, slashing on the fist wind. Yi Shiwen's saber blade instantly broke through the fist wind and swept on Lucien's body. Boom! Lucien was blasted out on the spot and fainted. Yi Shiwen showed mercy and didn't kill him directly. Otherwise, Lucien's ending would be more miserable. Although it was expected, it still caused an uproar when they saw Lucien being blasted away by Yi Shiwen. Many people knew that Yi Shiwen was very strong, but Lucien was an expert from the previous top 100 list, and most people were not his match. But now, Lucien couldn't even withstand a single move from Yi Shiwen. Although Yi Shiwen had blasted away a Transcendent Realm 8th level expert in the first round, the Sea Clan expert was not on the top 100 list after all. There was still a gap between the two. After slashing Lucien away, Yi Shiwen also flew out along with the light on the nameplate. At this time, there were not many people in the entire venue. There were only 300 people left. Those who could stay were undoubtedly the elites among the elites. Except for Yi Shiwen and Lucien, who had a huge disparity in combat prowess, it was difficult for others to be blasted away with one saber strike like Yi Shiwen. Yi Shiwen was the first one to come out. After coming out, Yi Shiwen began to search for Yao Qian and by Hamo's arena. Yao Qian's arena was not found yet, but Bai Hamo's arena was found first. His opponent was a Sea Clan expert, also an expert in the top 100 list. It was the poisonous Flaming Dragon Clan's expert. Human, surrender. You are not my opponent. Otherwise, don't blame me for being ruthless. The poisonous Flaming Dragon Clan expert's spiritual sense instantly locked on by Hamo. His eyes were cold and ruthless. His aura erupted in an instant. He was also a Transcendent Realm 8th level expert. In the top 100 list, he was strong enough to enter the top 50. Compared to Yi Shiwen's opponent, he was much stronger. No wonder he was so confident. Many people paid attention to the battle between Bai Hamo and this poisonous Flaming Dragon Clan expert. After these rounds of competition, Bai Hamo stood out from the crowd and gained his own reputation. Although he was not as popular as Yi Shiwen, Crocodile Shadow, and the others, many people were paying attention to his battle. As for the other party, he was originally in the top 50 of the top 100 list. In the top 100 list, he was an absolutely tyrannical existence. The battle between the two of them quickly attracted the attention of countless people. Both sides are Transcendent Realm 8th level experts. I'm afraid this battle is going to be intense. Although Bai Hamo seems to have reached Transcendent Realm 8th level peak, this poisonous Flaming Dragon Clan expert can sweep away those in the same realm. It should be an evenly matched battle. I don't think so. Bai Hamo's momentum is so fierce. In the past few rounds, no matter how strong the opponent is, they can't withstand more than 5 moves from him. Some can't even withstand 1 move. But that's just ordinary people. How can this poisonous Flaming Dragon Clan expert be ordinary? Once the two sides fall into a protracted battle, I am more optimistic about the poisonous Flaming Dragon Clan expert. After all, the human physique is incomparable to the subdragon. Both sides had their own supporters, and it seemed like it was really an evenly matched match. Surrender? With just you? Bai Hamo sneered. In an instant, the long sword in his hand emitted a shocking sword intent. Clang! It pounced straight out. Under the illumination of the sword aura, the entire sky seemed to be dyed with the color of jade, turning into a world of jade. So fast. The poisonous Flaming Dragon Clan expert, who had just threatened Bai Hamo, was horrified. He felt his scalp tingling. What kind of swordsmanship is this? How can it be so fast? Wherever the sword light went, the sky turned into a jade-like color. He only had time to raise his hand to resist. A long saber appeared in his hand. Dang! A loud sound of metal clashing spread out instantly. He only felt them all over. A huge force passed through the long saber, almost paralyzing him. Can you dodge it? Bai Hamo's second sword slashed out in the blink of an eye. The second sword quickly broke through the sky and attacked the poisonous Flaming Dragon Clan expert. What a fast sword. I don't know what kind of swordsmanship this is. It has such terrifying power. Once the sword is unleashed, the world turns into jade. Someone exclaimed. It was not only because Bai Hamo's swordsmanship was extremely fast, but also because the opponent's poisonous Flaming Dragon Clan expert was clumsy under his sword. Bai Hamo's sword was fast. Many people had no way to judge how fast and powerful it was. However, the poisonous Flaming Dragon Clan expert on the opposite side had a deep understanding after seeing the Transcendent Realm 8th level poisonous Flaming Dragon Clan expert's miserable appearance. Because the poisonous Flaming Dragon Clan had the Dragon Clan bloodline, even in the same realm, they were much more powerful than the average Sea Clan. Hence, they could often sweep across the same realm. Now, the poisonous Flaming Dragon Clan expert was in such a sorry state under Bai Hamo's sword. How could everyone not be surprised? The sword blasted on the poisonous Flaming Dragon Clan's long saber again. But at this time, his arm was a little numb. Another terrifying collision caused his long saber to be blasted away. Clang! After the long saber spun several times in the sky, it was directly inserted into the gap of the stone on the arena. Clang! Almost at the same time, Bai Hamo's third sword had arrived. His swordsmanship seemed to have no other subtleties except for the fast sword speed. In other words, By Hamo's fast sword speed was enough to defeat the poisonous Flaming Dragon Clan expert. Boom! The poisonous Flaming Dragon Clan expert was directly blasted out. Blood spurted wildly. A huge wound on his body was dripping with blood. It was a ghastly sight. 3 swords, just 3 swords. This match, which was regarded as an unusually evenly matched battle, ended with by Hamo's victory. However, these were all within Yi Shiwen's expectations. The poisonous Flaming Dragon Clan possessed the dragon bloodline and was a lesser dragon. It was difficult to find an opponent in the same rank, but that was only for ordinary people. But was by Hamo an ordinary person? Whether it was the bloodline or martial technique, he was far beyond the imagination of ordinary people. In the same realm, he could compete with Crown Prince Crocodile and others. Not to mention, the poisonous Flaming Dragon Clan expert had just entered the Transcendent Realm 8th level. He was still far from by Hamo's Transcendent Realm 8th level peak. Unless by Hamo encountered the poisonous young master or the flaming young master, the average person would not be by Hamo's opponent. There was nothing to worry about. On the contrary, although Yao Qian had also entered the Transcendent Realm 8th level, most of the top 50 in the top 100 list had already entered the Transcendent Realm 8th level. Her advantage was not obvious. Instead, she needed some luck to go further. But just as Yi Shiwen was about to continue searching for Yao Qian's arena, a cold voice came from behind him. Yi Shiwen, you'd better live well. Don't lose to others. Otherwise, it will be a pity. Yi Shiwen didn't need to turn his head to recognize the voice. It was none other than the poisonous young master. He turned his head and saw that this person was indeed the poisonous young master. The poisonous young master stared at Yi Shiwen coldly. In his pair of cold eyes, the green poisonous aura was looming. He had practiced the poison technique to the extreme. He had practiced every cell in his body. He could be called a master in using poison. It could be said that anyone would have to be careful of such an opponent, and he was also the one that everyone feared the most. It was evident that he had practiced unorthodox poison techniques to an upright level. However, Yi Shiwen was not afraid of him at all. No matter how strong the poisonous young master's poison technique was, he could not hurt Yi Shiwen at all. Yi Shiwen had divinity to protect his body. He could completely ignore the poisonous young master's poison technique. Hence, the poisonous young master was a formidable opponent for anyone. When facing Yi Shiwen defeated him like a stray dog. What's there to regret? Do you think you're my opponent? Said Yi Shiwen with a sneer. The poisonous young master's expression suddenly changed. He seemed to recall the 2 times he was defeated by Yi Shiwen. The first time was due to his carelessness. He suffered a loss in Yi Shiwen's hands. However, the second time he was fully prepared. He even joined forces with several Transcendent Realm 9th level experts to besiege Yi Shiwen. However, he was not Yi Shiwen's opponent at all. Yi Shiwen broke through the encirclement and beheaded the Transcendent Realm 9th level experts. He was chased by Yi Shiwen like a stray dog. Thinking of this, the muscles on his face twitched even more. His gaze towards Yi Shiwen became even colder. Just you wait. You'd better pray that you don't meet me. Otherwise, I will make you suffer a fate worse than death. The poisonous young master calmed his mood and said coldly. He had never resented someone so much. Never. No one could make him suffer such a huge loss. He almost had no strength to fight back. This feeling was suffocating. Chapter 1005. This feeling was really suffocating. Even his old opponent since childhood, the Inferno young master, had never felt suffocated because the 2 sides were only evenly matched. There were wins and losses. It was impossible for the Inferno young master to feel suffocated. But when facing Yi Shiwen, it made him feel unusually suffocated. Because when he faced Yi Shiwen, he couldn't win. This was the biggest problem. If he had won, then it would have been fine. However, it wasn't as simple as not winning. Even he himself could see that his poison technique was completely restrained by Yi Shiwen. This was the most depressing thing for him. It was also the fundamental reason why he tirelessly wanted to kill Yi Shiwen. In addition to Yi Shiwen, other people who were qualified to be his opponents were somewhat afraid of him. Because of his poison technique, He had even become one of the most dangerous people among them. However, in front of Yi Shiwen, it was not like that at all. His poison technique didn't seem to have a big effect on Yi Shiwen. It could be said that he was completely restrained. He even had a kind of fear that he wouldn't have any chance of winning against Yi Shiwen in that situation. This feeling made him feel like he was sitting on pins and needles. It made him feel like he might suffocate at any moment. This was like the feeling when a person met another person who could strangle him to death at any time. The kind of fear that came from the heart could not be suppressed. The only way was to strangle this person in the cradle and completely extinguish this evil danger. Only then would it be possible to alleviate this kind of fear that came from the heart. After glancing at Yi Shiwen with hatred, the poisonous young master left. As long as they remained undefeated, sooner or later, they would meet in the competition. At that time, he would never let Yi Shiwen go. Big brother Yi Ha, I won. I can enter this top 100 list if I win another game. Ha, it's too easy. Bai Hanmo's figure appeared in the air. When he saw Yi Shiwen, he was surprised. He was in a good mood after defeating his opponent. Sister Yao hasn't come out yet? Did she encounter any trouble? When the two found the arena where Yao Qian was, they discovered that Yao Qian was indeed in trouble. Her opponent this time was not weaker than Bai Hanmo's opponent. He was also a Transcendent Realm 8th level expert. He was not much worse than Yao Qian. The experts who could enter the Transcendent Realm 8th level at this age were all peerless geniuses. It could even be said that each of them was a dragon among men. Except for a freak like Yi Shiwen, it was impossible to challenge someone in a higher realm. Facing this expert, Yao Qian was basically in a tough battle. A tough battle? It could only be described as a tough battle. Yao Qian's opponent was also tenacious. After fighting for more than 1,000 moves, Yao Qian was defeated. Is she Yao Qian? Yi Shiwen suddenly discovered something. Although Yao Qian's battle seemed to be very hard and arduous, Yao Qian was actually doing it with ease. Even her clothes were not very messy. Although it was not as easy as Yi Shiwen and Bai Hanmo, she definitely did not use her full strength. Yi Shiwen suddenly discovered a point. Although Yao Qian's battle seemed to be very hard, Yao Qian was actually at ease. Even her clothes were not messed up. Although it was not as easy as Yi Shiwen and Bai Hanmo, Yao Qian did not use her full strength. Although it was unfair to those who finished late, it was the greatest fairness. Only those who defeated their opponents earlier could have more time to rest. In other words, only the strong could make it to the end. This was also a very cruel rule. Compared to the 6th round, the 7th round was equally uneventful. There were no surprises. Yi Shiwen still defeated his opponent in one move, and Bai Hanmo did not spend much effort. Yao Qian's luck was also better this time. She only encountered a Transcendent Realm 7th level warrior. She easily defeated this opponent. The three of them easily entered the top 100. Among them, Yi Shiwen had undoubtedly become the focus of everyone's attention because there weren't many warriors left. In fact, there weren't even 100 people left. Among them were Yi Shiwen, Jin Wushuang, the poisonous young master, the flame young master, the two siblings from the Sea Demon clan, Crocodile Shadow, Pei Xingqian, Sea Dragon young master, and the last of the three overlords of the human race, the disciple princess of Light Cave. These were all warriors who had the potential to win. They attracted everyone's attention and shone brightly. Although the results of the competition had yet to be announced, the few of them were almost certain to be among the top 10 experts of this year's ranking list. The only difference was their rankings. Compared to the people who had already been famous for many years, Yi Shiwen, who had just become famous, immediately became the most concerned person among them. Other people had become famous sooner or later. Many people knew their strength, but only Yi Shiwen seemed to be shrouded in a cloud of fog. Not many people really knew what kind of strength he had in the end. Not only the spectators on the high platform, but even several other top geniuses were also secretly observing Yi Shiwen. It was a pity that the opponents were too weak or Yi Shiwen was too strong. Yi Shiwen only used a simple move all the way until now. No one could resist his simple move. Any enemy in front of him was destroyed. His moves had reached the point of simplifying the complicated and turning the rotten into the magical. One move was enough to defeat all enemies. No one could force him to use a second move. This made many people who wanted to find out Yi Shiwen's actual strength quite depressed. This Yi Shiwen has such strong combat power. Among those who stayed, his realm is the lowest, but in terms of combat power, he is terrifyingly powerful. Even the Transcendent Realm 8th level expert is not his opponent. They can't even resist one move. Above the grandstand, in the depths of the cloud platform, in that space, the top leaders of the major forces in the Flourished Cloud Sea region gathered. They all cast their eyes in Yi Shiwen's direction. He was too mysterious. Such a person's combat power should never be judged by his realm. However, it was precisely because of this that his combat power was even more difficult to speculate. In particular, the Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan's law manifestation experts looked at Yi Shiwen with an ugly expression. For them, Yi Shiwen was the greatest shame in their hearts. The fall of Crown Prince Crocodile was an indescribable pain in their hearts. When did their Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan suffer such a big loss? But because of Origin returning sect, they had no way to get back at Yi Shiwen after suffering a loss. Of course, it would be best if Crocodile Shadow could kill Yi Shiwen in this top 100 competition. Young Master Sea Dragon's strength is getting stronger. It may not be a problem to win the championship this time. This time, only our poisonous Flaming Dragon clan can win the championship. Among the top 10, we occupy at least 2 spots. Let's continue to watch. This year's competition is really unprecedented. Among these 10 seeds, any one of them can win the championship in the previous years. Now that they are all gathered together, our Flourished Cloud Sea region will usher in a new era. Only the heavens know that without the trial of the Blood World, these people are nothing. After the trial of the Blood World, only those who survive will be able to dominate their peers. In the depths of the cloud platform, the top leaders of the major forces had different opinions. They were calm about the performance of these young experts. It seemed that it did not attract their attention at all. Many of them had come this way. The younger generation experts who had not reached the law manifestation realm were nothing in their eyes. Perhaps one day in the future, it would be their turn to dominate everything in the Flourished Cloud Sea region. But at least it was not now. In front of them, these experts of the younger generation could only be considered as immature. Under this general trend, the competition between the Sea Clan and the Human Clan had become the main theme. In the subsequent 8th round of battles, Yi Shiwen still defeated his opponent easily. This time, his opponent was an expert who was about to reach the Transcendent Realm 8th level peak. Although he was not as good as by Hanmo, he was not bad. However, in front of Yi Shiwen, he was still vulnerable. He was not an opponent at all. Bai Hanmo's opponent was also a Transcendent Realm 8th level peak expert, but he was just average. He was not comparable to Bai Hanmo. This time, Bai Hanmo defeated his opponent after more than 50 moves. But even so, Bai Hanmo's performance was still very eye-catching. Many people even regarded him as the strongest expert below the top 10 experts. Even if he was not, he was almost there. With his strength, as long as his luck was not too bad, it was not difficult to enter the top 20. On the other side, Yao Qian's situation was not so optimistic. Compared to the previous few rounds, she still hid her strength. This time, she really went all out. The battle was very difficult. She had fought for more than 1,000 moves, but her opponent still did not show any signs of losing. It was not until Yao Qian seized a loophole of her opponent and attacked. She barely defeated her opponent and advanced to the top 50. Yi Shiwen frowned. According to this trend, Yao Qian might not be able to make it to the next round to enter the top 20. But even so, Yao Qian's performance was already amazing. In the previous tournament, Yao Qian just barely entered the top 50. Sunny Bamboo Chamber of Commerce was overjoyed with her progress this time. In the Flourished Cloud Sea region, the Sunny Bamboo Chamber of Commerce was not a strong force. Not to mention comparing with the overlords, it barely ranked in the first class. Yao Qian's ranking had already surprised the Sunny Bamboo Chamber of Commerce. Even if she was eliminated in the next round, there was nothing to regret. Chapter 1006. Different forces naturally had lower requirements for their disciples. For a behemoth and overlord like the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan, it would be a shame if they couldn't enter the top 10. It was better not to participate. But for Sunny Bamboo Chamber of Commerce, which only had one generation of inheritance so far, this was already a remarkable thing. The rise of any force required time to settle. Perhaps in the future, the Sunny Bamboo Chamber of Commerce would become an existence that no one could ignore. But now what they needed was just this. Yao Qian had nothing to be dissatisfied with. Those who could reach this stage not only needed strength, but also enough luck. For example, the Transcendent Realm 8th level expert who was eliminated by Yi Shiwen in the first round lacked such luck. But that was only for those who did not have enough strength. For Yi Shiwen, was luck important? Did it matter who he met in each round? For others, those few were undoubtedly the most dangerous existences in hell. However, for him, there was no difference because these people were all opponents that he had to defeat. Even if he had to defeat them one by one in the following matches, it wouldn't matter to him. The competition didn't stop for even a moment and entered the 9th round. Basically, after the first round was over, it would enter the second round. At this point, those who could remain were no ordinary warriors. Without a doubt, those who remained were the top experts of the younger generation. They might be the best among the millions of martial artists in the flourished Cloud Sea region, or even more. The 9th round was very important for many people because passing the 9th round meant entering the top 20. Those who could enter the 10th round were qualified to enter the top 10 of the top 100 list. This was a very fierce and cruel competition. Since they had already come this far, no one wanted to be eliminated here. However, they didn't have much time to think about it. Not long after the 8th round of competition ended, they had to anxiously enter the 9th round of competition. As many of them had not recovered from their previous injuries, it was undoubtedly a bit difficult for them to compete at this time. It was Yao Qian who benefited from this. Her opponent had been seriously injured in the previous battle, so the other party simply surrendered. Although his strength was stronger than Yao Qian, fighting with Yao Qian in a seriously injured state was undoubtedly a suicidal behavior. After all, not everyone had an abnormal recovery power like Yi Shiwen. For many people, continuing to fight was indeed a very strenuous thing. But at this time, Yi Shiwen did not have time to care about Yao Qian's affairs. He stepped directly into the arena, but he did not expect that his opponent here was actually Si Kong Hao. Brother Yi, I didn't expect that my opponent this time is actually you. Si Kong Hao said with a bitter smile when he saw the opponent was actually Yi Shiwen. Brother Si, I didn't expect that I would meet you in this round, Yi Shiwen said with a smile. However, in fact, he wouldn't be surprised if he met anyone in this round since there were only more than 30 people left. In fact, it would be considered a very normal thing to meet anyone in this round. But even though I met you, I will never admit defeat so easily. Come on, let me see how much progress you have made during this round. However, even though I've met you, I definitely won't admit defeat so easily. Come, let me see how much you've improved during this period of time. Although he was not the top 10 candidates ranked by everyone in terms of strength, no one could deny that he was also unique outside of the top 10. Even in the eyes of many people, he also had the strength to compete with the top 10. After all, he was also a top 10 expert in the previous tournament, wasn't he? Even in the eyes of many people, he also had the strength to compete with the top 10 experts. After all, he was also a top 10 expert in the previous tournament, wasn't he? If it weren't for the emergence of too many strong experts in this tournament, such as Yi Shiwen, the demonic sea siblings, and a few others, he would have continued to be a top 10 expert without any accident. If you didn't make any progress after coming out of the sealed land, you won't be my opponent today. Si Kong Hao's gaze began to turn cold. At this point, no one didn't want to continue. With his strength, he even dared to covet the championship, let alone Yi Shiwen. The aura on his body began to sweep out little by little, making everyone feel a little suffocated. Transcendent Realm 7th level. Transcendent Realm 8th level. Transcendent Realm 8th level peak. Transcendent Realm 9th level. Boom! The strength displayed by Si Kong Hao suddenly made all the warriors who were paying attention to this battle excited. Transcendent Realm 9th level. It was really the strength of Transcendent Realm 9th level. Many people had long guessed that even the top 50 experts had entered the Transcendent Realm 8th level. Then, would the top 30, top 20, and even the top 10 experts on the original list only be Transcendent Realm 8th level? Would it be as the outsiders guessed? Many people even speculated that many of them had already entered the Transcendent Realm 9th level. But guesses were just guesses. So far, no one had shown the strength exceeding Transcendent Realm 8th level peak. They were still the same strength as rumored. Even if they only had the strength of Transcendent Realm 8th level, it was enough to help them sweep away all opponents. Even if they encountered the same Transcendent Realm 8th level peak, they would not be these people's opponents. In front of these people, it seemed that Transcendent Realm 8th level and Transcendent Realm 7th level were paper tigers. They were easily defeated without any difference. Therefore, the guesses of these younger generation experts were just guesses. There was no substantial evidence. In other words, their current opponents were not worthy of exposing their strength exceeding Transcendent Realm 8th level. There was no doubt that Si Kong Hao would be the first expert to expose his Transcendent Realm 9th level strength. As a result, everyone finally confirmed the thoughts in their hearts. The top geniuses of the younger generation had indeed entered the Transcendent Realm 9th level. They were already the top experts in the Flourish Cloud Sea region. In this era where law manifestation experts and even half-step law manifestation experts did not appear easily, they were enough to represent the top forces of the entire Flourished Cloud Sea region. How shocking was this? They were only a few years old. The oldest among them was less than 500 years old. In their long lives, they might still have thousands of years or even tens of thousands of years to live. They would dominate the entire Flourished Cloud Sea region in such a long time. This made many veteran Transcendent Realm experts feel that perhaps they were really old. Even those law manifestation experts who didn't put the younger generation experts in their eyes suddenly realized that the younger generation experts were rising too quickly. Perhaps it wouldn't take long. In a few hundred years or even 1,000 years, they would be able to enter the law manifestation realm. It might even take a shorter time. Sure enough, someone has entered the Transcendent Realm 9th level. Even Si Kong Hao has entered the Transcendent Realm 9th level. Then, I'm afraid the others have already entered it. Without any solid evidence, Si Kong Hao could easily guess how strong these geniuses had become in the past few years. At the same time, they became more excited. Initially, everyone was optimistic about Yi Shiwen. After all, Yi Shiwen was the one who slaughtered Crown Prince Crocodile. Compared with his brilliant battle record, the battle record of slaughtering Crown Prince Crocodile alone was enough to offset all of Si Kong Hao's past glory. No matter how powerful Si Kong Hao was, could he slaughter Crown Prince Crocodile? That was obviously impossible, but Yi Shiwen did it. But the current situation was the complete opposite. Si Kong Hao, who had entered the Transcendent Realm 9th level, must have a completely different transformation. Many older experts understood that Transcendent Realm 8th level and Transcendent Realm 9th level were not the same concept at all. From a cultivation perspective, Transcendent Realm 9th level was already the Transcendent Realm complete realm. The power that could be exerted was far beyond the imagination of Transcendent Realm 8th level warriors. This was why the top geniuses caused such a sensation after they defeated or killed Transcendent Realm 9th level experts. This in itself represented an anomaly. Si Kong Hao at Transcendent Realm 9th level and Yi Shiwen at Transcendent Realm 8th level were not the same concept. So, even if Si Kong Hao knew that Yi Shiwen had a record of slaughtering Crown Prince Crocodile, he was still full of confidence because he had entered the Transcendent Realm 9th level. Crown Prince Crocodile had not yet entered the Transcendent Realm 9th level when he was slaughtered. Everyone knew the difference. If you hadn't made any progress after coming out of the seal, you wouldn't have been a match for me today. Yi Shiwen didn't answer because he knew that Si Kong Hao was right. If he came out of the sealed site without making any progress, He had no chance of winning against Si Konghao, who had entered the Transcendent Realm 9th level. Even if Yi Shiwen could kill ordinary Transcendent Realm 9th level experts at that time, would a genius like Si Konghao, who entered the Transcendent Realm 9th level, be an ordinary Transcendent Realm 9th level expert? He directly entered the Transcendent Realm 9th level peak. However, he was not the same as when he first entered the sealed site. I also want to see how much stronger you have become after coming out of the sealed site. If you can't shock the world, your path today will come to an end. Yi Shiwen said slowly, with a firm expression. No one could doubt what he said. Chapter 1007. It seemed that this was an evenly matched battle. In fact, Si Konghao had a higher chance of winning. After all, one was at the Transcendent Realm 9th level peak, while the other was only at the Transcendent Realm 6th level. The gap between them was huge. Yi Shiwen could indeed challenge across realms, and even kill the Crown Prince Crocodile. However, facing Si Konghao, who was at the Transcendent Realm 9th level peak, could he really do anything? No one knew. It was precisely because of this that it could attract the attention of countless people. This was the duel between Yi Shiwen, the recognized top 10 expert, and Si Konghao, the first powerful opponent to show the strength of the Transcendent Realm 9th level. Swish! Si Konghao took a step forward. A violent aura swept out instantly, setting off stormy waves. A folding fan like black jade appeared in his hand. The folding fan suddenly unfolded, and innumerable terrifying key blades swept out in an instant. They swept out in a mighty manner like monstrous waves, and swept towards Yi Shiwen with surging and vast power. Si Konghao didn't hold back and directly used his full strength. Perhaps others would think that he had a higher chance of winning as a Transcendent Realm 9th level, but only he knew how terrifying Yi Shiwen was. Before leaving the sealed site, Yi Shiwen was already able to kill the Transcendent Realm 9th level expert alone. How could he not improve at all? Even he didn't believe it. In any case, this was an opponent that must be fought with all his strength. Under Si Konghao's attack, everyone only felt that the world had changed. Yi Shiwen was like a small boat in the ocean, capsized by the endless gale at any time. Facing Si Konghao's attack, Yi Shiwen made a move. Even his expression didn't change. His hands bloomed with dazzling golden light, as if an unseen treasure had appeared. He suddenly tore at the sky full of wind blades. Swish! In an instant, the sky full of wind blades were torn into countless cyclones on the spot. They couldn't approach Yi Shiwen's body at all. What a strong physical body. Many experts who were paying attention to this battle were shocked. They were veteran Transcendent Realm experts. Among them, there were many Transcendent Realm 9th level experts. There were even half-step law phase experts. Some of these experts also had keen eyesight. They immediately saw that Yi Shiwen's body was somewhat ridiculously strong, since he was able to withstand the wind blade with his bare hands. Si Konghao's battle was not going to be easy. Facing an opponent like a turtle shell, no matter how strong Si Konghao was, he didn't know where to start. Si Konghao didn't panic. It seemed as if he had already expected such an attack to be nothing to Yi Shiwen. He took a step forward and pounced in front of Yi Shiwen. The black jade folding fan in his hand suddenly opened. The violent airflow was driven by the fan and converged into a torrent. This power was akin to a long spear. It pierced through the vast sky in an instant and bombarded towards Yi Shiwen's face. Compared to the sky, full of wind blades just now, this move was much more threatening. Just now, Yi Shiwen used the technique of breaking through with a single point and easily nullified Si Konghao's attack. This made Si Konghao understand that his group-killing move was completely vulnerable in front of Yi Shiwen. Thus, he immediately turned his attack into a single killing move. This crazily rotating airflow instantly blasted in front of Yi Shiwen. As it continued to rotate, the surrounding air was also attracted, making this airflow bigger and bigger, and its power became more and more terrifying. All of this took a long time to describe, but it was actually just an instant. Yi Shiwen didn't hesitate at all. He spread his hands, and suddenly a shield condensed from divinity was condensed in the sky. Dang! The long spear-like airflow suddenly blasted on the golden shield. The loud collision sound was like a big bell, instantly spreading out. The powerful airflow instantly collapsed and annihilated the endless air. The space also trembled wildly, directly blasting the air. Boom! The airflow spear didn't stop because it was blocked. On the contrary, under the control of Si Konghao, it swept up even more crazily. The terrifying force made Yi Shiwen retreat a few steps in the sky before he regained his balance. Yi Shiwen had such strength. Although it was somewhat because Yi Shiwen was caught unprepared and attacked without any preparation, it was undeniable that the power of this airflow was simply endless. Boom! When the endless airflow couldn't penetrate Yi Shiwen's divinity shield wall, it suddenly exploded with a loud bang. It was like the eruption of a mountain torrent. The terrifying power swept out, and the world seemed to be covered in an instant. Not good. Si Konghao is planning to suppress Yi Shiwen with his tyrannical cultivation. He wants to completely crush Yi Shiwen with his tyrannical realm cultivation. At this time, someone recognized Si Konghao's strategy. It was the simplest way to suppress others with his strength. His cultivation was much higher than Yi Shiwen's. It was easy for him to suppress others with his strength. What was an advantage? It was the advantage of the realm. Si Konghao made full use of his advantage in the realm. He was close to perfection in the transcendent realm. Yi Shiwen, who had yet to enter the transcendent late realm, could not be compared to him. They asked themselves, if they were in Si Konghao's shoes, they would have been crushed long ago. Not to mention that Yi Shiwen was a few realms lower than him. Even if they were in the same realm, it would be extremely difficult for them to withstand this kind of pure strength. Because of this, they knew how terrifying Si Konghao was. In his hands, his combat skills had already reached the pinnacle, and he could be called a master. Trying to suppress others with strength? Crush me? Unfortunately, you found the wrong person. Amidst the chaos, a cold voice came out. Amidst the chaos, a destructive saber aura suddenly leaped out. It expanded with the wind, and the blazing flames swept in all directions. Anything that came into contact with the flames would be burned into nothingness. In an instant, the fiery saber aura was already 100 feet long, and it was crushing towards Si Konghao. A light flashed in Si Konghao's eyes, and he was slightly shocked. He used the great advantage of his realm to suppress Yi Shiwen, and yet he still failed. Yi Shiwen's strength was too strong. What he didn't know was that Yi Shiwen liked to walk the path of suppressing others with his strength. His early martial arts were also extremely domineering. Coupled with the tyrant body scripture, it was even more so. His moves were big, and he had already reached the pinnacle. It was impossible for Yi Shiwen to suppress him with this. What kind of martial arts did he practice? How could it be so powerful? However, there was no time for him to think too much. He let out a loud shout, and the real elemental energy in his body burst out, and all his strength violently swept out. He directly swept out a column of storm from the folding fan, and instantly swept towards the saber aura. Boom! All of a sudden, the saber chi and the storm collided fiercely in midair. A terrifying airflow, mixed with countless flames, swept out in all directions. Yi Shiwen's fiery saber aura quickly melted by more than half, but the remaining part did not lose its momentum, and directly chopped towards Si Konghao. Behind Si Konghao, a pair of gasified wings directly spread out and suddenly flapped. His wings instantly swept out an unimaginable airflow, and his body suddenly disappeared and was taken away by the gasified wings. Boom! Yi Shiwen's saber aura directly blasted a big hole in the arena, but it did not cut Si Konghao. So fast. Many people were dazzled for a moment, and when they came back to their senses, this round of confrontation was already over. Although Si Konghao did not gain the upper hand, he did not hurt Yi Shiwen either. In general, it was not bad. This was also the first time for many people to see Si Konghao's speed. It was unexpectedly so fast, and Yi Shiwen's saber was already extremely fast. It could be said to be fast and ruthless, but he was able to dodge it, which showed how fast this speed was. His research on the law of wind attribute has reached the point of being unparalleled among the younger generation. In terms of speed, I am afraid there are not many in the younger generation who can surpass him. With this speed, even if he encountered the top 10, he would at least be able to protect himself. He is indeed worthy of being in the top 10 of the previous tournament. He really has the foundation that ordinary people do not have. How can the real terrifying one be Si Konghao? The real terrifying one should be Yi Shiwen. Si Konghao's strength is well-deserved. Even many veteran 9th level peak experts are not his opponent. Even so, when facing Yi Shiwen, he did not gain the upper hand at all. It is imaginable how terrifying Yi Shiwen is. Although the two were only at the beginning of the fight, and they had not yet used all their trump cards to the point of tragedy, everyone could already see some clues. Either of these two people was likely to be in the top 10, but they met each other at this time. It was a pity that they met each other. Most importantly, even if one of them could win, it would be a Pyrrhic victory. In the end, it would be useless even if one could enter the top 10. Even if one could enter the top 10, when facing other strong experts, even if there was only a slight injury, it might develop into an insurmountable gap in the end. This was the case with the slightest error and the difference of 1,000 miles. No wonder the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan always suffers in Yi Shiwen's hands. It is not without reason. Many people secretly sighed. The vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan experts in the stands also looked at Yi Shiwen at this time. For them, the better Yi Shiwen's performance was, the more incompetent they were, and the more shameful it was. Yi Shiwen in the field moved at this time. He took a step forward and continued to chase Si Konghao, who dodged the saber quickly. Chapter 1008. Si Konghao's speed was extremely fast, especially after unfolding the pair of wind wings. His speed was suddenly raised to the limit. In this arena, all the wind and all the air would not be an obstacle to him. They would follow him, making his speed to the extreme. He breathed a sigh of relief. Although Yi Shiwen's physical body was unparalleled, and his strength was even more terrifying, he also had unparalleled speed. In the world of martial arts, only speed was unbeatable. He firmly believed in this truth. Hence, he began to study the law of wind attribute a long time ago. Until now, his speed could be said to be unrivaled among the younger generation. Even those young experts in front of him might not be able to catch up with him in terms of speed. This was also his trump card. It was also the reason why he dared to snatch the demonic saber from Crown Prince Crocodile. Although he might not be Crown Prince Crocodile's opponent, Crown Prince Crocodile could not do anything to him. On the contrary, Crown Prince Crocodile would be harassed by him all the time. Just as he wanted to counterattack Yi Shiwen with a backhand, he saw Yi Shiwen's figure almost turning into a golden light. Yi Shiwen caught up with him in one step. He was shocked. Yi Shiwen's speed was not slow at all. This speed was completely out of his expectations. How is it possible? How can his speed be so fast? His heart was in turmoil. The path of martial arts had countless forks in the road. It could be said that there were 3,000 great Daos, and every one of them could prove the Tao. However, it was precisely because there were too many ways to prove the Tao that no one could cultivate all martial arts to the extreme. Especially when they had cultivated to this level, there was no such thing as an all-rounder. Everyone had to choose one aspect to break through. There were no exceptions. Even if some people were heaven-sent geniuses who seemed to be very strong in all aspects and had no shortcomings, even so, it was impossible for them to be all equal. There must be one aspect that far surpassed the others, because the lifespan of a warrior was limited and the paths were too vast. Even if an ordinary person studied any of the paths, he might not be able to reach the peak in his lifetime, let alone advancing all the paths simultaneously. This was simply impossible. This was determined by a person's lifespan. Moreover, these young warriors were able to walk a path that others might not be able to walk for thousands of years in just a few hundred years and advance by leaps and bounds. Naturally, they chose to specialize. Only when they entered the transcendence realm would they consider comprehending by analogy, and their other comprehensions would naturally increase. This was also the path of most people. However, he didn't know that Yi Shiwen had the mysterious space and the enlightening mind ancient tree. These two cheat-like existences made his enlightenment as simple as eating and drinking water. In particular, that mysterious space was more like a large computer. It could analyze everything in detail and present it in front of Yi Shiwen. Therefore, in the eyes of others, it was impossible to go hand in hand. However, in Yi Shiwen's eyes, it was not a big deal. As long as there was enough spiritual energy, it was not a problem for him to go hand in hand. Even if he went hand in hand, it was much faster than ordinary people who specialized. This advantage would be reflected more and more over time as his cultivation got higher and higher. Because in the end of martial arts, if there was still only specialization, then it was easy to walk into a dead end. He also needed to comprehend by analogy. It was just like building a house. Not only did it require a certain design, but it also required proficiency in civil and wood materials, mechanics, interior design, and other aspects to complete. The same was true for the cultivation of martial arts. Just like the legendary Demon King that Yemo told him about. Although he was not good at alchemy, whatever he refined would be an amazing elixir. It was just that most people would choose to consider comprehending by analogy after entering the law manifestation realm. However, Yi Shiwen went hand in hand all the way, so when he cultivated in the law manifestation realm, it would be much easier than the average person. This was because others might stop to comprehend other parts, but he had already comprehended them. Yi Shiwen, who could go hand in hand, also had an advantage among his peers. This was the fundamental reason why he could challenge those who were at a higher level. No matter how strong the opponent was, they had their own shortcomings, and most of these shortcomings were not as good as Yi Shiwen. Take my punch! Yi Shiwen clenched his 5 fingers into a fist. Countless stars were entwined on it, and instantly turned into a star. In an instant, the endless air collapsed in an instant, and then he suddenly blasted his fist out. Boom! Wherever the star passed, there was a terrifying rumbling sound of impact. The space was instantly locked, and there was a faint feeling that made Si Konghao feel that there was no way to escape. At this time, he truly tasted what it meant to oppress people with one's power. Previously, he had relied on his higher realm to oppress people with his strength. However, at this time, he truly understood what it meant to oppress people with one's power. This was a higher level of understanding than using one's strength to oppress people. Although it did not seem very fast, the overwhelming feeling made him feel so suffocated that he wanted to vomit blood. It was as if he was facing the punishment of the heavens. No matter where he escaped, it was useless. That feeling of powerlessness was like the feeling of a mantis trying to stop a chariot. Originally, in his opinion, this aura could be used to deal with people who were weaker than him. It could be used to oppress people who were much weaker than him into surrendering without a fight. However, it was rare to see someone like Yi Shiwen who dared to oppress people who were higher than him with force. Unfortunately, he was suppressed by Yi Shiwen's aura. In the eyes of many people in the grandstand, this situation was extremely strange. Yi Shiwen's fist was getting closer and closer, but Si Konghao seemed to be under the effect of the body-fixing technique and couldn't even move. At this time, in addition to Si Konghao in the field, only the law manifestation realm experts in the depths of the cloud platform saw some clues. Suddenly, many experts looked at each other, showing a somewhat horrified expression. They were very clear that the aura was actually the initial form of the territory. It wasn't the kind of aura that suppressed the opponent to the point of being unable to move the initial form of the territory. Having said that, even if many people condensed their own territory, it was impossible to exert the aura to such an extent. This young man is not simple. Damn, how can there be such a talented person among humans? We can't let him live. We must eliminate him as soon as possible. No wonder Gue Yuan sect almost fell out with the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan for him. He really has his value. The expressions on the faces of the law manifestation realm experts remained unchanged, but there were all kinds of thoughts in their minds. No, I can't go on like this. Si Konghao screamed in his heart. He immediately bit the tip of his tongue, and an intense pain swept through his entire body. The blood in his body was burning, and he suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood onto the black jade folding fan. Roar! An angry beast roar swept out from the folding fan. A terrifying, vicious beast aura overflowed from the folding fan, followed by a huge beast claw grabbing out from it. It was like a giant claw that could destroy the sky, instantly grabbing Yi Shiwen's fist. Boom! In the sky, everyone only heard a loud bang. The huge beast claw and Yi Shiwen's fist exploded on the spot. The terrifying explosion aftermath turned into layers of air waves that swept out. The entire arena had been destroyed beyond recognition, and even the space that isolated the arena was on the verge of collapse. In the past, this would have been impossible, but it was only in this year's competition that such a situation would occur. In the past sessions, if there was a Transcendent Realm 9th level expert, then the champion was almost decided. It was impossible for others to compete with the Transcendent Realm 9th level expert. But only in this session, countless experts emerged. The Transcendent Realm 9th level experts who could dominate in the past were fighting with great difficulty. They did not hesitate to burn their blood essence to contend. It wasn't that Si Konghao wasn't strong enough. After all, he wasn't inferior to the number 1 experts of the younger generation in the past. But the Heaven's Pride experts of this generation were too abnormal, especially Yi Shiwen. He was the most abnormal of all abnormal experts. Therefore, the arena that was reinforced according to the strength of the previous session's experts in the past was completely inadequate at this time. This was also beyond the expectations of the 6 Overlord forces. This is too strong, countless people thought in their hearts. The arena was about to be destroyed by the battle between the two. This was only the battle between Yi Shiwen and Si Konghao. In everyone's view, it was a battle between the top 10 and the top 20. If it were a battle between the top 10, how intense would it be? Endless smoke and dust swept into a cyclone and rushed straight into the sky. It even blocked everyone's sight. In the smoke and dust, everyone could only see a behemoth figure appearing out of thin air in front of everyone. With great difficulty, the smoke and dust dispersed. Only then did the crowd see that countless wind elements had condensed into a mountain-like giant beast on the arena, causing the originally spacious arena to suddenly become much narrower. This ferocious beast was white and somewhat translucent. It had a ferocious face and fangs. Its limbs were strong and powerful, and its body was huge like a mountain. The only thing that was a little surprising was that its left front claw was actually gone. It should be said that it had been annihilated by someone. At this time, everyone finally remembered the beast claw and Star's blow just now and immediately understood. Yi Shiwen did it. Looking at the ferocious beast that was emitting a terrifying aura, everyone was shocked. Just how terrifying of an attack was needed to annihilate one of the ferocious beast's front legs. Yi Shiwen, who did all this, was frowning. Chapter 1009. That was because he discovered that his punch had actually failed to annihilate the entire beast. This was already somewhat beyond his expectations. Although this beast was composed of wind attribute elements, in terms of toughness, it was far stronger than gold and iron. An ordinary person would not be able to damage it at all. Looking at Si Konghao's pale face, Yi Shiwen immediately understood that this should be Si Konghao's hidden trump card. Yi Shiwen, you are really strong. Very, very strong. Compared to when you were in the sealed land, you can't be mentioned in the same breath. Si Konghao stood up and said a little reluctantly, but this time, I will definitely win. As he said, the huge, vicious beast's left front claw recovered little by little, as if it had never been injured. Due to the fact that he was not a physical entity, this degree of injury was actually insignificant. Yi Shiwen glanced at Si Konghao's slightly pale face and frowned slightly. He could not kill this beast. It was the most difficult to deal with. Swish! Suddenly, that ominous beast moved. Its 4 claws collapsed the air in the sky, and it instantly rushed over. In an instant, it had already arrived in front of Yi Shiwen. That terrifying appearance was enough to suffocate a person. This claw was unleashed, great storm handprint. It turned into a huge handprint and pressed down. Yi Shiwen's face changed. He did not expect this vicious beast to know martial arts. It was much more difficult to deal with than the ancient, desolate giant crocodile incarnation. When Crown Prince Crocodile incarnated into the ancient, desolate giant crocodile, although his strength had improved a lot, his mind was not clear. Hence, the improvement in strength was not as terrifying as it seemed on the surface. However, this vicious beast was different. It could even use martial arts. This set of great storm handprints simply gathered the countless surrounding storms and released them together. It was terrifying, even the sky could be penetrated. Although Yi Shiwen dodged this claw, this vicious beast obviously had no intention of letting Yi Shiwen go. It directly clawed at Yi Shiwen again. The huge beast's claw unleashed the great storm handprint and slammed down again. Boom! 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 The vicious beast's giant claw slammed down continuously. Each time, the entire horizon could be seen collapsing in a manner visible to the naked eye. Yi Shiwen just kept dodging and didn't fight back. One man and one ominous beast were extremely fast. Yi Shiwen continuously stepped on the ground, and his figure suddenly moved horizontally at a very fast speed. Every time, he was able to avoid the claws of this ominous beast by a hair's breadth. Yi Shiwen's speed was extremely fast. His figure was moving horizontally at an extremely fast speed. However, that ominous beast looked like a small hill, but in fact, it was composed of wind elements. Its body was very light, but very sturdy. Similarly, its speed was also extremely fast. What could be faster than the wind? A man and a ferocious beast quickly flew in that arena. Although this arena was not small, it was almost no different from a small box for experts of this level. They could casually fly with such a huge force, let alone chase each other in this arena. However, when the two sides chased each other in the arena, the small arena was reflected almost immediately. No way. Is Yi Shiwen going to lose? He is completely at a disadvantage. He can only be chased continuously. He has no power to fight back at all. Suddenly, many people exclaimed. Initially, everyone was more optimistic about Yi Shiwen. From the beginning of the battle, Yi Shiwen always had the upper hand. But now, they found that it was not the case at all. Suddenly, many people exclaimed. Initially, everyone was more optimistic about Yi Shiwen. From the beginning of the battle, Yi Shiwen always had the upper hand. But now, they found out that it was not the case at all. Yi Shiwen could only keep dodging. Although everyone also felt the monstrous ferocity from the vicious beast, the ferocity of Yi Shiwen slaughtering Crown Prince Crocodile was deeply rooted in their minds. In other words, it should be said that Crown Prince Crocodile's prestige for hundreds of years had fallen into everyone's heart. Yi Shiwen, who killed Crown Prince Crocodile, naturally inherited this ferocity. Therefore, it was not so much that it was unbelievable that Yi Shiwen would be at a disadvantage. It was more unbelievable that an expert who could slaughter Crown Prince Crocodile would be at a disadvantage in the battle with Si Kong Hao. I didn't expect Si Kong Hao to have such a trump card. If Yi Shiwen is not careful, he may really suffer a big loss in his hands. Unfortunately, in the face of this move, Yi Shiwen seems to have no power to fight back. He deserves to be in the top 10 of the previous tournament. With this foundation and this strength, if he didn't encounter these monstrous geniuses, he will definitely be the champion now. There was a lot of discussion, but this time it turned to Si Kong Hao. But not everyone could see the clues. Stupid. Crocodile Shadow, who had just finished the match, looked coldly at Yi Shiwen and Si Kong Hao who were fighting below. What's wrong? Isn't it good for Yi Shiwen to suffer a loss? We have suffered a lot from this kid. We should be happy to see him suffer a loss. A vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan expert next to him said with some doubts. In his heart, the right and wrong had always been very simple. Yi Shiwen suffered a loss, so he should be happy. Crocodile Shadow didn't seem to be very happy. You only saw Yi Shiwen constantly retreating under the vicious beast's attack, but didn't you see Yi Shiwen's face was not red, and he was not out of breath? Even his footsteps were not messed up? The vicious beast has tried its best, but Yi Shiwen is still at ease. Can't you even see such a simple thing? Crocodile Shadow shook his head and said disappointedly. Now, the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan really had no talents. No wonder they quickly pushed him out after Crown Prince Crocodile's death. It was not only because of the top 100 list, but also because there was no successor. Yi Hong, Ying, and others, who had some potential, died in Yi Shiwen's hands one after another. They had no choice but to let him out. Hence, Crocodile Shadow was right to thank Yi Shiwen's momentum. It was indeed the case. Compared to these people who were taking pleasure in Yi Shiwen's misfortune, he could see further. He could also see that Yi Shiwen hadn't used his full strength yet. In other words, he hadn't been forced to use his full strength. This ominous beast looked majestic, but if it couldn't catch Yi Shiwen, then everything would be in vain. It could be said that Si Konghao's biggest trump card should be flawless. Whether it was strength or speed, this gasified vicious beast could be said to have reached the pinnacle. Unfortunately, it encountered a freak like Yi Shiwen. Yi Shiwen's speed was faster. Ordinary people could not catch up with his speed. Not even this ferocious beast. Not even this ferocious beast condensed from the wind element. It's impossible. How can he be so fast? The poisonous young master said in amazement. He had just defeated his competitor. It was not appropriate to use the word resolved to describe it. It should be said that the other party directly surrendered. Facing the poisonous young master, they might be poisoned to death if they were not careful. How would they dare to continue fighting with the poisonous young master? He was also concerned about Yi Shiwen's battle. Hence, he returned to the spectator stand after finishing the battle in a hurry. If it were an ordinary battle, he wouldn't even have the mood to watch it. He knew that those people could not even force out 1/10 of Yi Shiwen's combat power. But now it was different. His opponent was Si Konghao, and this opponent was also the type of opponent that gave him a headache. As one of the top 10 in the last tournament, he wouldn't underestimate Si Konghao. Moreover, apart from his mortal enemy, Yi Shiwen, Si Konghao's ability was the most powerful restraint on him. The poisonous young master couldn't get close to Si Konghao's body. Therefore, his plan to kill Si Konghao with poison would become a joke. Therefore, although Si Konghao's strength was inferior to him, the poisonous young master was actually more afraid of Si Konghao than everyone else. Because of this, in his opinion, this battle must be a fierce one. Everything was just as he thought. Yi Shiwen also showed a stronger combat power in this battle. However, when he saw that Yi Shiwen was always skillfully dodging his attacks, he suddenly felt extremely depressed and horrified. However, he was also somewhat rejoicing in his heart. Fortunately, he wasn't the first one to fight with Yi Shiwen. Otherwise, even Si Konghao, who specialized in wind element cultivation, wouldn't be able to catch Yi Shiwen, let alone him. It's still early. Let's wait and see. A few of the younger generation experts who had finished their battles earlier made similar judgments at this time. And at this time, there was finally an earth-shaking change on the battlefield. Yi Shiwen, who seemed to be constantly dodging, finally stopped. I have seen through your great storm handprint. Let's stop here. Yi Shiwen roared and instantly pounced forward. He suddenly blasted out his fist to grab the great storm handprint. Boom! Yi Shiwen's fist was like a needle piercing into the ominous beast, blooming with golden divine light, instantly illuminating the entire sky. Yi Shiwen's fist suddenly blasted into the ominous beast's claw, which was as hard as iron, and suddenly blasted through it. Bang! The entire beast suddenly exploded like a balloon, and a huge airflow immediately swept out in a mighty manner. At this time, Yi Shiwen's figure had once again rushed in front of Si Konghao, and the vast pressure of his fist instantly crushed down. I admit defeat. At this time, Si Konghao suddenly opened his mouth and said. There was a somewhat helpless smile on his pale face. He looked at Yi Shiwen and said word by word. Chapter 10:10. I admit defeat. Si Konghao said with a bitter smile, looking at Yi Shiwen helplessly. There was nothing he could do. He had tried his best, but he still couldn't defeat Yi Shiwen. Yi Shiwen was like a bottomless pit. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't defeat Yi Shiwen. Even though he had finally used his trump card to compete for the championship, he still wasn't Yi Shiwen's opponent. Yi Shiwen saw through his weakness and defeated him completely. Although it seemed that Yi Shiwen easily defeated the gasified beast, only he knew that it was impossible for ordinary people to do it. Even if he encountered Crown Prince Crocodile, he was confident that he could fight him. It was a pity that he encountered a freak like Yi Shiwen. If it were anyone else, they would not be at such a complete disadvantage. In other people's eyes, he had the upper hand, but only he knew that he had been led by the nose by Yi Shiwen from the beginning to the end. He had never had the upper hand. He had been in a complete disadvantage from the beginning to the end. But this time, I also have some insights. If I can enter the law manifestation realm in the future, it must be Brother Ye's credit. Si Kong Hao said with a cupped fist. Yi Shiwen's use of momentum had reached an extremely brilliant level, allowing him to have a new domain. He also had a little more experience in condensing his own domain. Although the two ended peacefully, Yi Shiwen's defeat of Si Kong Hao this time caused a huge reaction again. Both of them were the best of the younger generation in the eyes of everyone. Both of them had extraordinary achievements in the past. Yi Shiwen slaughtered Crown Prince Crocodile, and Si Kong Hao showed the Transcendent Realm 9th level strength, far beyond everyone's imagination. It could be said that it was normal for any one of them to win, but it was also because of this that anyone who won would cause everyone to gasp in surprise. In everyone's eyes, perhaps a lose-lose situation was the most acceptable outcome for everyone. What's more, Yi Shiwen had defeated Si Kong Hao so easily. One must know that Si Kong Hao was one of the top 10 rankers last year. This year, he was at least one of the top 20 rankers, but Yi Shiwen had actually defeated him. After all, Yi Shiwen wasn't a young hero who had been famous for a long time. It would have been normal if he had been replaced by someone like Pei Xingqian. However, everyone could see that Yi Shiwen's achievements weren't due to luck. He had achieved them by relying on his own strength. Even defeating Si Kong Hao didn't require him to use his full strength. He had defeated Si Kong Hao's trump card with just an ordinary move. At most, he had just shown off his skills and attacked the weakness of the beast. Just how many trump cards did this ordinary-looking youth have? How far could he go? However, it didn't matter whether they were optimistic or not. The 9th round had ended very quickly. All the major experts had gone all out in order to enter the 9th round. However, the competition didn't last long. Yi Shiwen's match was considered a long one. The so-called top 10 that everyone was optimistic about had ended their battles quickly before encountering each other in the 9th round. They even encountered a Transcendent Realm 9th level expert. However, the opponent was a warrior who had just entered the Transcendent Realm 9th level. He was far from comparable to Si Kong Hao. Hence, with Si Kong Hao's outstanding performance, it didn't cause too much of a commotion. Compared to the 9th round, the 10th round was the real test. Only those who passed could enter the top 10. Among the remaining people, except for lucky ones like Yao Qian, almost all of them were top-notch experts. Among the remaining 15 people, there was bound to be a bye. This person was actually Yi Shiwen's turn. This arrangement was unexpected, and no one had any objections. Whether they liked or disliked Yi Shiwen, no one doubted Yi Shiwen's strength. Even if he relied on his true ability, he could easily enter the top 10. Among the remaining 14 people, only 7 would advance to the top 10. Then, among the remaining 7 people, the 2 winners would be decided along with the previous 8 people as candidates for the top 10. The rankings between them would have to be determined one by one. It was rare for Yi Shiwen to have a bye. He could laugh at the situation when these people fought. These were the best among the young, advanced mathematics experts in the Flourish Cloud Sea region. Each of them was a top expert. Any one of them was very difficult to deal with. It was undoubtedly a rare opportunity for Yi Shiwen to watch their battle in advance. Moreover, it was a battle of similar levels. Most importantly, only 7 people could advance in the end. In other words, among the opponents that Yi Shiwen was very concerned about, at least 4 of them would have to fight. It was very rare to see such a top-level battle. In the 10th round, apart from Yi Shiwen being the first to advance without a bye, Yao Qian was the fastest to finish her battle. Her opponent was none other than the previous champion, young Master Sea Dragon. Yao Qian was already very satisfied to be able to advance from the original top 50 to the top 20. Although there was a bit of luck involved, what else could she be dissatisfied with? If the gap was a little smaller, it would be considered a friendly match. However, she knew very well that the gap between her and young Master Sea Dragon had reached a certain level. It was impossible for young Master Sea Dragon to use his full strength. It was useless even if he fought with her. Now, among Yi Shiwen's group of 3, the only one still on the field was Bai Hanmo. Bai Hanmo's opponent was none other than the poisonous young master. "You are with that Yi Shiwen? I know you," said the poisonous young master slowly. His eyes flashed with green poison gas, looking a bit evil. "Who are you?" "I don't know you," said Bai Hanmo lazily with a "who are you" look. The muscles on the poisonous young master's face twitched. He looked at Bai Hanmo with the same murderous intent, not only for Yi Shiwen, but also for the people around him. This kid was as annoying as Yi Shiwen. "It doesn't matter. You will know who I am later," said the poisonous young master coldly. His figure suddenly turned into a poisonous mist and disappeared. In the next second, he appeared in front of Bai Hanmo. Although his speed was not as exaggerated as Yi Shiwen's, it was impossible for a warrior who cultivated to this level to have an obvious shortcoming. Even if there was a shortcoming, it depended on who he was compared with. In terms of strength, the Transcendent Realm 9th level peak poisonous young master was absolutely not inferior. At this time, he completely broke out. In an instant, he rushed in front of Bai Hanmo and directly launched a huge chi-condensed hand. The chi-condensed hand was stained with green poison. It directly burned through the air. It was abnormally terrifying. It seemed that Bai Hanmo was already prepared for the poisonous young master's strength. He had forgotten Yi Shiwen's previous instruction to admit defeat first if he encountered those people. Yi Shiwen could even see the excited expression on his face. Clang! Bai Hanmo made a move in an instant. The white jade long sword in his hand suddenly stabbed straight at Bai Hanmo in an instant. The white jade-like light instantly illuminated half of the sky. It turned into a waterfall and directly cut through the vast sky. Boom! The long sword and the huge hand suddenly collided fiercely in the sky. The green poisonous light and the white sword light exploded in the air. For a time, the entire sky was filled with this kind of venom. Unlike what everyone thought, there was no scene of Bai Hanmo being blasted away by the poisonous young master. The two of them were actually evenly matched in this exchange of blows. An endless amount of green venom flowed into the air. It seems that you were just as Bai Hanmo looked at the poisonous young master with a sneer and said with a smile, "Hey, you can't even beat me with your strength, let alone brother Yi." The poisonous young master's face was abnormally ugly. He didn't expect the Transcendent Realm 8th level brat in front of him to be so difficult to deal with. Yi Shiwen's strength far surpassed the average Transcendent Realm 8th level peak. Yi Shiwen's strength was not inferior to the poisonous young master. But even so, a Transcendent Realm 9th level peak, couldn't suppress the Transcendent Realm 8th level peak. It was imaginable how the people outside evaluated him. He only felt that the eyes in the sky had turned into mocking gazes, as if everyone was laughing at him. "You are courting death," he roared suddenly. His figure suddenly pounced forward. Countless poisonous gas condensed in his hand, turning into a huge poisonous gas bomb. He suddenly threw it out. Swish! This poisonous gas bomb instantly tore the vast sky. It seemed to corrode a big hole in the air and directly bombarded in front of Bai Hanmo. Everyone held their breath and looked at Bai Hanmo at once. The most terrifying thing about the poisonous young master was his poison technique. Compared to this, the others were nothing to worry about. But it was precisely because of this that it showed his horrifying poison technique. No one dared to underestimate his poison technique. This was also the biggest problem for other young geniuses when facing the poisonous young master, who knew that Bai Hanmo didn't care at all. He directly slashed with a sword. A shocking sword light suddenly smashed the entire poisonous gas bomb. Boom! The poisonous gas bomb exploded on the spot. The poisonous gas contained in it instantly turned into a giant claw that grabbed by Hamo. It suddenly grabbed by Hamo's body with lightning speed. A white, jade-like luster appeared on by Hamo's body. The poisonous gas corroded desperately, but there was no way to corrode by Hamo's body. The layer of white, jade-like luster made him look like a jade man. By Hamo directly turned around and slashed the poisonous gas claw on the spot. Chapter 10:11. It turns out that this kid has this idea. Yi Shiwen saw this scene, and the corners of his mouth couldn't help but smile. Before the 10th round began, Yi Shiwen told him that if he encountered people such as the poisonous young master and the flaming young master, then the best way was to surrender. Especially if he encountered the poisonous young master and Crocodile Shadow, then he had to surrender. They all had a grudge against Yi Shiwen. If he encountered them, it was best to surrender directly without any hesitation. Otherwise, he would be severely injured by them. But who knew that after Bai Hamo entered the arena, he had no intention of retreating. Initially, Yi Shiwen and Yao Qian were worried. But when Yi Shiwen saw this scene, he was relieved. It turned out that Bai Hamo had such an idea. The most difficult thing to deal with the poisonous young master was his poison technique. As long as the opponent was contaminated by his poison, even if it was just a little bit, the opponent would be quickly corroded. Not even the bones would be left. This was the most difficult thing to deal with the poisonous young master. Even the top geniuses had to be careful of the poisonous gas that came out of nowhere when fighting against the poisonous young master. Only Yi Shiwen was an exception. His divinity completely isolated the poisonous young master's poisonous gas, rendering the latter's poisonous gas helpless. Hence, the poisonous young master was completely restrained. Although Yi Shiwen didn't know what method Bai Hamo used, it was obvious that the martial technique he cultivated could effectively resist the erosion of poisonous gas. Even if it was only for a short while, it was enough to restrain the poisonous young master completely. Without that terrifying poison technique, the deterrence of the poisonous young master would obviously be reduced sharply, and he would no longer be so terrifying. Bai Hamo was not an ordinary Transcendent Realm 8th level peak expert. He could definitely compete with the average Transcendent Realm 9th level expert. So, in any case, he was more than enough to protect himself. Thinking of this, Yi Shiwen immediately felt relieved and explained to Yao Qian next to him. Yao Qian, who was still very nervous, was slightly relieved after hearing Yi Shiwen's explanation. This brat. She was initially afraid that Bai Hamo would come out. If he came out in the arena, even if they flew over, it would be too late to save him. Sure enough, as Yi Shiwen expected, Bai Hamo launched a counterattack almost immediately. The long sword instantly slashed out a white waterfall. The sword light pierced the sky and went straight to the poisonous young master's face. In an instant, the entire sky seemed to be pierced. Damn it! The poisonous young master's face was abnormally ugly. At this time, he still understood why Bai Hamo dared to stay and fight against him. After all, in the past few rounds of the competition, he was known as the opponent that no one wanted to meet the most. It was not only because he was strong, but also because his attacks were ruthless. Almost no one could withstand the poisonous gas. There was even someone who surrendered a little too late. Half of his body had been corroded by the poisonous gas. He was a Transcendent Realm 8th level expert. In the face of such a fierce person, how could anyone be willing to meet him? Most of the time, they would shatter their nameplates and surrender before the fight even started. Unexpectedly, Bai Hamo was not afraid of his poisonous gas. It was like seeing a replica of Yi Shiwen. No, in comparison, it was Yi Shiwen who had yet to grow up. When facing Bai Hamo, it was almost like facing Yi Shiwen's sense of crisis and suffocation. If such a person were to grow up, he would almost be the next Yi Shiwen. One Yi Shiwen already made him feel like he was sitting on pins and needles. If there was another one, he would not be able to live anymore. If he didn't eradicate the two, he would have to live under the shadow of the two for the rest of his life. Seeing Bai Hamo attacking again, he was furious as if he was provoked. he immediately launched a poisonous palm print. Boom, boom, boom. The white stripe and the green poisonous palm print collided fiercely in midair, constantly making a loud roar. What was a little surprising was that by Hanmo, who originally thought that he would not be the poisonous young master's opponent, did not fall into a disadvantageous position. Instead, by Hanmo repeatedly attacked by Hanmo. Everyone was in an uproar, especially those who paid attention to this battle. They originally thought they would see another battle of surrender. Unexpectedly, by Hanmo did not surrender. On the contrary, he fought with great vigor. Damn it, I must tear you into pieces. The poisonous young master couldn't defeat by Hanmo for a long time. Although everyone could see that his strength was higher than by Hanmo, he couldn't defeat by Hanmo in a short time. This made him feel that he had lost face in the flourished Cloud Sea region. Clang! By Hanmo rushed forward again, pointing his sword straight at the poisonous young master's shoulder. Go to hell! The poisonous young master didn't dodge at all. He directly covered it with his palm. The terrifying palm force quickly collapsed a large area of the air. By Hanmo thought that by Hanmo would turn around to resist. Who knew that by Hanmo did not dodge and directly stabbed with his sword. When the poisonous young master reacted, it was too late. The long sword in by Hanmo's hand had directly pierced into the poisonous young master's shoulder. If the poisonous young master didn't dodge in time, the sword would have pierced his throat. Puff! The long sword pierced into the flesh, and a blood flower bloomed directly. It was poignant and brilliant. Ah! The poisonous young master suddenly felt pain, but he didn't withdraw his palm force. He directly slapped by Hanmo's body. Although by Hanmo's body glowed with a white light, offsetting most of the force, he was still directly slapped away. How dare you hurt me? How dare you hurt me? The poisonous young master's eyes were red. He kept roaring like a wounded beast. At this time, he was close to madness. Hee, so what if I hurt you? By Hanmo sneered, biting the blood stain at the corner of his mouth. How can this kid be so reckless? When Yao Qin saw by Hanmo being slapped away, she suddenly exclaimed. Her delicate pretty face was full of worry. In her heart, by Hanmo was still the little follower who followed behind her. The child who called her sister Yao sweetly. She was already nervous when she saw by Hanmo fighting so desperately. Initially, Yi Shiwen meant that by Hanmo could at least retreat unscathed. She was slightly relieved. Who knew that by Hanmo would not stop while he was ahead? He even wanted to exchange blows with by Hanmo. It's okay. This kid knows his limits. Yi Shiwen looked at by Hanmo and said. But in his heart, he thought that such a fierce battle might not be a bad thing for by Hanmo. In his opinion, by Hanmo's talent might even be higher than Crown Prince Crocodile and others. Although Yi Shiwen didn't know what kind of martial technique by Hanmo cultivated, judging from the effect, it was definitely not an ordinary martial technique, since it could easily resist the poisonous young master's poison. What Yi Shiwen lacked was such experience. In such a tough battle, it was not impossible to ensure self-preservation. Yi Shiwen didn't know how many such miserable battles he had fought since he started his career. It was nothing at all. Before the crowd could recover from the shock, the long sword in his hand directly tore apart a white light and rushed to the front of the poisonous young master. It really seemed that he would not stop until he was dead. Boom! 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 By Hanmo became braver as he fought. The long sword in his hand was getting faster and faster. On the contrary, the poisonous young master on the other side was at a loss. By Hanmo was not afraid of death. However, this was the poisonous young master's weakness. Since the poisonous young master started his career with poison technique, no one was not afraid of his poison. Hence, he was always the one attacking others. Except for the freak Yi Shiwen, who was defeated miserably, no one could stop his poison technique. Now he encountered by Hanmo a guy like him. By Hanmo was not afraid of his poison at all. The poisonous young master's poison technique was greatly reduced at this time. He could not threaten by Hanmo at all. Without the biggest scruples, by Hanmo kept attacking. On the contrary, the poisonous young master, who had never fought such a tough battle, was a little timid. Damn it, go to hell. Finally, the poisonous young master was completely enraged by Hanmo. His strength was far above by Hanmo. Even without the poison technique, his real strength was above by Hanmo. As the saying goes, the arrogant are afraid of the reckless, and the reckless are afraid of the reckless. The poisonous young master was stunned by Hanmo's reckless attack just now. Hence, he was at a complete disadvantage. At this time, he finally recovered. After being thoroughly enraged by Hanmo, he no longer cared about anything else and directly blasted at Hanmo. Puff! Puff! The two sides fought again. Hanmo's long sword directly tore a huge wound in the poisonous young master's lower abdomen. However, Hanmo was directly slapped by a palm. A huge poisonous palm print appeared on his chest. Boom! 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 Both sides didn't care about anything else. After exchanging over 100 moves, they still didn't care about anything else. It was either you die or I die. Both sides were already in a sorry state. Hanmo's body was full of poisonous palm prints. Blood kept spilling from his mouth. He was in a sorry state. However, the poisonous young master was not much better. Hanmo stabbed holes all over his body. Although they were not big, they looked like a hornet's nest. I want you to die, the poisonous young master roared. The poisonous gas in his body spewed out continuously. Boundless power was brewing in his body. You want to play? I'm not going to play with you anymore. At this time, unexpectedly, Hanmo, who was fighting desperately just now, suddenly sneered and directly crushed the name tag. His figure quickly disappeared into light. Everyone was stunned on the spot. Chapter 10-12. Everyone was stunned on the spot, especially the poisonous young master. He was a little dumbfounded. He was fooled. Initially, he saw Hanmo's desperate look. He thought Hanmo would fight to the end. Who knew that Hanmo ran away when he was about to exert his strength in anger? This feeling was like a heavy punch hitting cotton, with nowhere to exert force. This depressed feeling made him want to vomit blood. But there was no other way. Outside the arena, Yi Shiwen was laughing crazily. He dared to say that Hanmo must have done this on purpose. Hanmo definitely planned to do this from the beginning. Absolutely. Only the poisonous young master, who had an abnormally ugly expression, was left in the arena. His gaze swept to Yi Shiwen, who was laughing happily on the side, like a ferocious beast. Yi Shiwen ignored the depressed, poisonous young master. Hanmo was directly teleported out from the arena. The identity token in his hand was completely shattered. However, he was naturally satisfied to be able to make it this far. Yao Qian quickly stepped forward to support Hanmo. Her words were full of reproach, but Yi Shiwen did not say anything. He just gave a thumbs up. Hanmo grinned, revealing his white teeth. However, it affected the wounds on his body, making him grimace. Don't you know to be careful when you know it hurts? Seeing him grimace like a monkey, Yao Qian was a little dumbfounded. It's okay, it's okay. I disgusted that guy before I left. It's worth it. Hanmo said with a smile. Sister Yao, I'm going in close cultivation. You have a breakthrough? Yi Shiwen wondered. Hanmo nodded with a smile. You brat, people avoid you like snakes and scorpions. You actually use the poisonous young master as a stepping stone. Ha, if he knows about it, he will be pissed to death. Yi Shiwen laughed loudly. It turned out that the poisonous young master happened to be teleported out from the arena. When he heard this sentence, the long-suppressed anger in his heart turned into a mass of blood, spurting out directly. Encountering Yi Shiwen was like encountering a nemesis that he had never encountered before. Although he won the battle, he did not feel any glory. It was a shame to be forced to this extent by a transcendent realm, 8th-level kid. But what was even more humiliating was that when he came out, he heard that this kid was about to break through. She had actually become his whetstone. All these factors combined caused him to spit out a mouthful of blood. The poisonous prince's expression was sinister, and his gaze was as sharp as a knife. He was a sorcerer, and he would definitely let these two people die without a burial. His eyes kept darting around, and no one knew what he was thinking about. However, he didn't stay. He turned around and left. At this moment, he felt that the whole world was laughing at him. How could he stay? Because Bai Hamo was about to break through, Yao Qin accompanied him to leave the venue directly. Anyway, both of them had withdrawn from the competition. The subsequent contempt had nothing to do with them. Naturally, they didn't care at all. Only Yi Shiwen stayed. Although the match between Bai Hamo and the Poisonous Prince was over, the 10th round was not over yet. There were more heavyweight duels in it. Among them, Yi Shiwen was most concerned about the battle between Pei Xingqian and the younger sister of the Sea Devil clan, Hai Wuyo. These two were originally favored by everyone to be in the top 10. However, they had encountered each other at this time. In other words, if two tigers were to fight, one of them would definitely be injured. When Yi Shiwen turned his attention to Pei Xingqian's battle, the battle between the two was at its most intense. The long halberd in Pei Xingqian's hand continued to pierce through the sky and earth, smashing on Hai Wuyo's body. Hai Wuyo's body began to grow scales, revealing her demonic sea beast clan bloodline. She became more terrifying. "You are strong." Pei Xingqian's hands did not stop moving. The long halberd in his hand continued to pierce through the sky and earth. It was like a flood dragon, biting Hai Wuyo, not giving her any chance. However, this is the end. The long halberd in Pei Xingqian's hand suddenly began to bloom with endless light. Countless ancient and mysterious laws entwined in it. The mighty aura seemed to be able to penetrate the earth. It was truly terrifying. With the boundless momentum of a powerful army, it instantly came crashing down. Outside the arena, Yi Shiwen's pupils slightly shrank. Pei Xingqian wasn't simple at all. Just this move alone was enough to make him stand above everyone else. Moreover, the aura of that majestic battle array had been passed down from an ancient dynasty. One of Hai Wuyo's hands blasted out true essence, and the other hand blasted out devil essence. Both of his hands joined together, and true essence and devil essence violently rampaged, annihilating each other, swallowing each other, bursting forth into a terrifying ball of light. Then, a beam of light directly shot up into the sky, heading straight for the halberd. Boom! A terrifying collision occurred between the two sides. Circles of light waves swept out directly. The barrier of the entire arena was directly shattered on the spot. The aftermath swept directly over, causing Yi Shiwen's collar to flutter. In this turbulence, Yi Shiwen clearly saw that Pei Xingqian's long halberd directly broke through the light waves and directly blasted Hai Wuyo away. This battle, Pei Xingqian won. The two experts who were favored by everyone to have the potential to enter the top 10 had been decided. Hai Wuyo was no match for Pei Xingqian. At this point, the list of top 10 experts who advanced with Yi Shiwen was finally announced. In addition to Yi Shiwen, young Master Hai Long, Pei Xingqian, and Jian Wushuang from the human clan occupied a total of 3 of the 7 spots this time. The eldest disciple of the other overlord force, Princess, was defeated by Crocodile Shadow by 1 move in the battle with him. Crocodile Shadow and Poisonous Young Master also defeated their opponents and advanced to the top 10. In addition to them, Jing Wuhui and Flaming Young Master also successfully entered the top 10. As for the Sea Demon Tribe siblings that everyone had high hopes for, they were both defeated. Boundless Sea was defeated by Pei Xingqian, while Boundless Sea was defeated by Jing Wuhui. They weren't too far off, but they still lost in the end. The top 8 on the stone wall was finally announced. The remaining 2 spots would be between the top 3 experts of the younger generation, Princess, Boundless Sea, and Hai Wuyo. In other words, no matter what, one of the demonic sea clans would advance to the top 10. Even so, the demonic sea clan experts who came this time were still unhappy. The siblings, Boundless Sea and Wuyo, whom they had high hopes for, were both defeated by the human clan and the sea clan respectively. This made them a little depressed. It was also a direct slap to their faces. Originally, they wanted to rise as a 3rd force in the Flourished Cloud Sea region, relying on Chaos Demon Sea to become the 3rd behemoth in the Flourished Cloud Sea region, independent of the human clan and the sea clan. However, the competition between the top experts of the younger generation was like a big slap to their ambition. It made them deeply understand that there was still a huge gap between them and the human clan or the sea clan. The few who advanced to the top 10 could rest for a while and watch the competition between these three people. They could strive to recover more stamina than others. In reality, the battle between Boundless Sea and Hai Wuyo ended with Hai Wuyo's forfeit. Then, it was the battle between Hai Wuyo and Princess. Although Princess was defeated by Crocodile Shadow, she was worthy of being the disciple of Light Cave, one of the three overlords. After a hard battle, she completely defeated Hai Wuyo. Originally, there was still one more match with Boundless Sea. However, because Hai Wuyo lost both matches, there was no need for the following matches. The last two spots were taken by Boundless Sea and Princess. The real competition for the top 10 rankings had also begun at this point. For some people, perhaps entering the top 10 meant that the competition had come to an end. However, for most people, this was just the beginning. The previous battles were just appetizers. What top 100 ranking? For many people, only the top 10 was valuable enough to be watched. As for the top 100, there was nothing worth watching at all. As for the competition for the top 10, it would be the most intense battle. Moreover, all of them would be decided in one round. There would only be one chance, and there would be no second chance. Not to mention, if one failed like just now, they would still have a chance to compete for the top 10 again. This was related to their ranking in the top 10. They only had one chance. Moreover, their opponent would be an expert of the same level. No one would have any thoughts of luck. They would definitely fight with all their might. The battle would definitely be unprecedentedly intense. At this stage, no one could have any hopes of luck. Yi Shiwen's opponent in the first round of the competition was none other than the poisonous young master, who hated him to the bone. Yi Shiwen had a bye in the previous round. He didn't seem to contribute much in the previous battles. Hence, in many people's opinion, he had yet to fully display his strength. The poisonous young master was different. Although Bai Hanmo put him in a difficult position and tricked him in the end, it did not mean that he had no strength. Although there were rumors that the poisonous young master suffered a loss in Yi Shiwen's hands, it was only when Yi Shiwen was at Transcendent Realm 8th level. Now, the poisonous young master had entered Transcendent Realm 9th level. Compared to before, he had undergone tremendous changes. There was bound to be another fierce battle between the two sides. Chapter 10:13. In the sky, above a cloud platform, several figures were sitting on a high platform. Their eyes fell on the top 10 this time. It was two men and a woman. The woman was about 20 years old. She was dressed in a light yellow dress, but she had an icy look on her face. As for the two men, they were polar opposites. One was tall and mighty, like an iron tower. His bronze-colored skin glowed faintly under the sunlight, and there was a hint of disdain on his face. As for the other person, he looked like an 11 or 12-year-old child. He was dressed in loose clothes and looked very comical. Only the few scales on his forehead revealed that he was not human. Are these the top 10 of the Flourish Cloud Sea region this time? I don't think so. The Flourish Cloud Sea region has long been in decline. The childlike man said. What's so interesting about the Flourish Cloud Sea region? I really don't understand what's the point of mustering so many people. I can strangle them to death alone, said the tall and mighty man. Don't underestimate them. Anyway, there's still young Master Hai Long. That guy is not easy to deal with, said the childlike man with a smile. Only this one is a little tricky. The others are nothing to me. The Flourish Cloud Sea region has long lost its destiny. Heaven doesn't care about them anymore, said the tall and mighty man. This time, I'm going to send them into the abyss. They don't have to go to the Blood Realm trial. Ha ha! His maniacal laughter rippled in the sky. Whatever. It's best if you can handle it. I don't have to do anything, said the childlike man lazily. If the Flourish Cloud Sea region people don't go, then we can get a little more. In the long run, the Flourish Cloud Sea region will be annexed by us. It's only a matter of time. The ice-cold woman just stood there coldly, as if she had no interest in the conversation between the two of them. If I can annex the Flourish Cloud Sea region, the first thing I will do is to kill all humans. This is the Endless Sea region. It's not a place where humans can act presumptuously. The tall man clenched his fists, and scales faintly flashed on his fists. He was also a Sea Clan expert, just like what we did in the Typhoon Sea. Haha. What do you think these Flourish Cloud Sea region people feel when they are at their most proud? What do you think they feel when they are splashed with a basin of cold water? The childlike warrior sneered and said, "Just thinking about it makes my blood boil. After I finish this matter, I will go back and prepare for the trial of blood and fire. I hope I can survive." In the field, Yi Shiwen and the poisonous young master were already facing each other. The battle was about to start. Finally, it's our turn to fight. The poisonous young master looked at Yi Shiwen sinisterly and said, their chances of encountering each other would be much greater after the competition of the top 10. It wouldn't be like searching for a needle in a haystack like before. It's just a matter of whether it's sooner or later. Yi Shiwen smiled and said, "Are you in a hurry to lose? I want to kill you as soon as possible." The poisonous young master said coldly, "Kill me?" Yi Shiwen sneered and said, "I didn't even use my full strength before. Now, this stage of the top 10 is the time for me to show my strength. No one can stop me." Arrogant, the poisonous young master snorted coldly. He suddenly shot his palm, and the great poisonous handprint instantly covered the entire arena. The violent poisonous gas instantly filled the entire arena. If it were someone else, they would have a headache dealing with this poisonous gas. However, it was Yi Shiwen. For him, this poisonous gas was nothing. It couldn't even corrode and penetrate the surface of his skin. His tyrant body had already cultivated his body to a terrifying level. It was just that it couldn't be seen from the outside. However, it was enough for him to compete with the real dragons of the same realm. Not to mention, these poisonous flaming dragons only had the bloodline of the dragon race. They were merely sub-dragons. You'll know whether I'm arrogant or not in a moment. A blazing flame ignited in Yi Shiwen's hand. It turned into the shape of a saber aura and suddenly chopped out. Rumble! The terrifying flaming saber aura directly chopped out a huge shock wave on the ground. It directly cut a huge crack in the arena. This crack was still chopping towards the great poisonous handprint at lightning speed. Boom! The flaming saber aura chopped on the great poisonous handprint. The violent shock wave instantly swept out in all directions. The enchantment on the arena suddenly became visible, and a little crack began to appear. This was only the first time they exchanged blows. Moreover, they didn't directly attack the enchantment on the arena. Just the shock wave alone had such power. One could well imagine how terrifying a fight between the top 10 would be. Yi Shiwen's flaming saber aura directly broke through the great poisonous handprint with irresistible force, and then continued to chop towards the poisonous young master. Damn it! The poisonous young master cursed. He condensed a strange handprint in his hand and chanted a simple and unsophisticated incantation. The incantation was like a syllable from the sky. He instantly roared out a terrifying sound. Countless poisonous gases began to condense, turning into a huge hand. In an instant, the huge poisonous gas hand grabbed the fiery saber chi that was coming at him. Puff! The flaming saber aura was like a mass of gas. It was instantly grabbed and extinguished. Moreover, only a slight sound came out. There wasn't even an explosion in the poisonous handprint. Go to hell! This was a bigger poisonous handprint. However, compared to the previous one, it was obviously a fundamental improvement. The originally scattered poisonous gas was also gathered at this time. Its power was more terrifying than before. Yi Shiwen could see with his naked eyes that when the great poisonous handprint pressed down, the entire sky seemed to be corroded into a hole of the great poisonous handprint. It was extremely terrifying. Yi Shiwen, I want you to die without a burial place today. The poisonous young master laughed wildly. He wanted to vent all the shame that Yi Shiwen had imposed on him. He wanted to vent it all on Yi Shiwen. I said that no one can stop me. I'll start with you. Yi Shiwen's body was covered with golden divinities. He looked like a god, shining with golden light. He stomped his feet, and the divinities suddenly turned into a mass of golden light and flew out. Clang! The dazzling flaming saber aura instantly swept out. The saber slashed out, and the world seemed to be caught in a raging fire. The poisonous gas was burned out in an instant. The saber aura in Yi Shiwen's hand danced, and a layer of flaming saber aura swept down like a huge wave. Boom! The poisonous young noble's poisonous palm print was also slashed open, and a copious amount of poisonous gas instantly leaked out. Damn it! The poisonous young master was burning with anger. However, Yi Shiwen's saber had already slashed down. How can he be so fast? The poisonous young master secretly gritted his teeth and said. Yi Shiwen's speed was countless times faster than before. Moreover, the most important thing was that he hadn't shown such a fast speed in his previous battles. But he was now so fast at a glance. There was almost no gap between the two sabers. Clang! Yi Shiwen once again chopped the big poisonous handprint with his blade. Die! The saber directly cut open a huge crack on the great poisonous handprint. Even the cold saber aura penetrated into the poisonous young master's arm, directly cutting a huge wound on the palm of the poisonous young master. Ah! The poisonous young master screamed and quickly retracted his hand. What kind of freak was this? One must know that his hands had been soaked in thousands of poisons for many years. Nothing could be seen from the outside, but in fact, the inside of his hands had already become as hard as metal and stone. There was no problem for him to resist ordinary ranked divine tools. However, such a big wound had actually been cut open by Yi Shiwen's saber energy. No wonder this kid didn't carry any weapons at all. He could only rely on his flaming saber aura to fight until now. It was not the first time he suffered a loss in Yi Shiwen's hands. He thought that he had already entered the transcendent realm 9th level, and his strength was incomparable to before. However, he still underestimated Yi Shiwen's progress. Without waiting for him to think too much, Yi Shiwen's third saber had already arrived. One saber followed by another. Yi Shiwen didn't give the poisonous young master any chance to breathe at all. The most terrifying thing was that the poisonous young master quickly discovered that Yi Shiwen's saber aura was getting heavier. If this continued, he would be killed by the saber sooner or later. Damn it! Do you really think I can't do anything to you? The poisonous young master was enraged. In order to deal with Yi Shiwen, who seemed to be able to restrain his ability, he deliberately prepared a backup plan. He thought that he could turn the tables at the critical moment, but he didn't expect Yi Shiwen to force him to use it so early. It was humiliating, but at this time, he couldn't care so much. Even if he was humiliated, it was much better than being directly cut in half on the spot. Boom! Yi Shiwen slashed down again, and the flaming saber aura directly split the arena into two halves. The terrifying flaming saber aura swept out. If there was no enchantment reinforced by the law manifestation realm masters, the terrifying saber aura alone could shock some people and cause internal injuries. The poisonous young master barely avoided this saber. He muttered something in his mouth. His eyes were bright, constantly blooming with aquamarine light. His hand was slowly covered with aquamarine poisonous gas. After a while, it wrapped his entire arm. Soon, the poisonous gas dissipated. Everyone looked at it and saw a pair of aquamarine gloves. This glove was covered with aquamarine scales. The 5 fingers were as sharp as 2 giant claws, faintly exuding a terrifying and dangerous aura. Chapter 10:14. Yi Shiwen raised his eyebrows. This is actually an Earth-level martial art instrument. No wonder the poisonous young master is so confident that he can deal with Yi Shiwen. Even Yi Shiwen only snatched an Earth-level demonic saber from Crown Prince Crocodile previously. Crown Prince Crocodile, a behemoth top prodigy, only obtained an Earth-level demonic spear previously. It was conceivable that not everyone in the Flourish Cloud Sea region could own an Earth-level martial art artifact, let alone martial artists below the law manifestation realm. It was already a great thing to own one, The Earth-level martial art instrument itself had extraordinary power. With an Earth-level martial art instrument glove, the poisonous young master's strength had increased by more than a little. If you think you can stop me with this, then you are wrong, Yi Shiwen sneered. A demonic saber exuding demon aura appeared in his hand. Hiss, another Earth-level martial art instrument. There was an exclamation among the crowd. On the high platform, many people were already envious when they saw the poisonous young master take out an Earth-level martial art instrument. Now, seeing Yi Shiwen take out another Earth-level martial art instrument, demonic saber, there was another exclamation. Are all the experts of the younger generation this rich? Do they already have Earth-level martial art instruments? This made those law manifestation experts who had reached the law manifestation realm for many years, but they were still empty-handed. How could they accept the human-level martial art instruments? A look of resentment flashed in the poisonous young master's eyes. Clang! A terrifying saber aura slashed out in an instant. The power of Yi Shiwen's fiery saber aura was already terrifying. Now, under the enhancement of the demonic saber, it reached a terrifying level. Almost as soon as the saber was pulled out, the saber radiance immediately tore through the vast sky. It flickered constantly like the rumbling thunder, and immediately slashed down. When Yi Shiwen first obtained his demonic saber, he still couldn't control it. But now, with his profound cultivation, this demonic saber could only be completely suppressed in his hands. The demonic nature could not affect Yi Shiwen at all. If it weren't for the fear that the demonic nature would affect the power of the demonic saber after erasing it, Yi Shiwen would have erased the demonic nature long ago. The saber radiance shook the sky as if it was going to destroy the world. The poisonous young master's complexion suddenly changed. His complexion turned deathly pale. He hadn't expected that Yi Shiwen's blade would be so powerful. He had never seen someone from the younger generation who had yet to enter the Transcendence realm actually use an Earth-class Dharma artifact to such an extent. Of course, he hadn't seen many members of the younger generation who possessed an Earth-rank magic tool. If it wasn't for the sake of winning the championship this time, he'd specially looked for his clan's backing elder to obtain this Earth-rank magic tool. Otherwise, it would have been impossible for him to possess an Earth-rank magic tool. Although he hadn't seen it before, it didn't mean that he didn't know. Karahi felt as if heaven and earth were about to be cut in half. He felt as if heaven and earth were about to collapse. The violent blade light suppressed everything, and everything was crushed into pieces under his blade light. Almost subconsciously, he tore out countless poisonous lights from his hands and swept them towards the saber light. Boom! A terrifying collision ensued. The two Earth-rank magic tools were pushed to the extreme and suddenly exploded. A violent shock wave immediately bombarded the surroundings. The boundary, which was already on the verge of collapse, suddenly exploded with a loud bang and swept even further away. All the warriors on the grandstand couldn't help but take a deep breath, especially many people. They felt chills running down their spines. They were all Transcendent Realm 9th level peak experts. They were confident that their strength was tyrannical. After seeing the Earth-class magic tool, they still wanted to snatch it. Among the two, Yi Shiwen was the best target compared to the poisonous young master who had a behemoth backing him. If they snatched the poisonous young master's weapon, they would have to face the pursuit of the poisonous Flaming Dragon clan's law manifestation experts. If that happened, they would be courting death. Even if they had the Earth-class magic tool, it was impossible to escape from the law manifestation experts. And Yi Shiwen was their best target. In fact, many of them had even thought of forming a group to intercept and kill Yi Shiwen. Gui Yuan Sek could protect Yi Shiwen, but they couldn't protect him forever. There would always be an opening. Now, this thought suddenly disappeared without a trace. Are you kidding me? The guy in front of me will split them in half with one slash. Ordinary Transcendent Realm 9th level warriors couldn't even block one slash. Even the veteran Transcendent Realm 9th level experts were not much better. They would be finished after 2 slashes. Yi Shiwen grew so fast. When he first became famous in the Flourish Cloud Sea region, it was because he offended the Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan. In the hearts of many veteran Transcendent Realm experts, he was just a clown running around. They didn't think much of it. Unknowingly, Yi Shiwen had grown to such a level. He had reached the point where they couldn't deal with him at all. Good. This man has grown to this point. We can't let him live. An elder in the Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan stood up suddenly and said in surprise. Compared with others, the Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan felt Yi Shiwen's growth the most because they almost watched Yi Shiwen's growth. Yi Shiwen had offended them a long time ago. Therefore, they had constantly sent people to encircle and suppress Yi Shiwen. However, no matter how many experts they had sent, they would all be killed by Yi Shiwen. They could only watch helplessly as Yi Shiwen grew stronger. When I go back, I must tell this news to the clan leader. This man can't be left alive. No matter what price we have to pay, we must kill him completely. Several Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan experts' spiritual senses communicated in midair. There was only dense killing intent. I want you to know that even if you have an Earth-level martial art tool, you are nothing in front of me. You are just a stinky bug, said Yi Shiwen coldly. Damn it. The poisonous young master's face was distorted. Yi Shiwen, do you really think I'm at my wit's end? The poisonous young master yelled. He condensed countless seals in his hands, and countless fierce auras swept out from his body. This is the dragon aura. Yi Shiwen raised his brows. He immediately recognized this aura. He had once felt this aura from the young flood dragon that had been killed. However, compared to that young flood dragon, the dragon aura of the poisonous young master was incomparably huge, even though it wasn't pure. Countless draconic energies wrapped around his body, making him look like a peerless, fierce dragon. Moreover, countless spiritual energies were attracted by the draconic energies and wrapped around his body, making his divinity bigger and bigger. Shwa! The poisonous young master was like a standing dragon in human form. He rushed over in an instant and slammed his palm down, knocking away Yi Shiwen's long saber on the spot. The dragon aura itself was the strongest thing in the world. The dragon clan was also one of the few powerful races in this world, especially their physical body. It was even more tyrannical. Even Yi Shiwen's tyrant body was compared to the dragon clan. After the transformation, the poisonous young master changed his previous fighting style and began to fight openly. Wherever his dragon claws passed, the ground would be blasted open instantly. Yi Shiwen, I have to thank you for this. If it weren't for you, how could I endure the torture of the poisonous volcano and practice the true dragon aura shield that only a few people can practice? Now I want this martial art, and I will send you to heaven. The poisonous young master laughed heartily and said, if Yi Shiwen hadn't continuously defeated him and made him feel ashamed, how would he have thought of practicing the true dragon's aura shield? Very few people in the poisonous flaming dragon clan could practice it. After practicing the true dragon aura shield, although he couldn't turn into a real dragon, both his speed and strength would be enhanced to a terrifying level, far beyond the ordinary. The poisonous young master didn't have any scruples at all. Relying on the tyrannical true dragon aura shield, he directly slapped Yi Shiwen's body. He wanted to slap Yi Shiwen to death, not giving him any chance to fight back. Clang! Yi Shiwen's saber slashed on the poisonous young master's dragon claws. Suddenly, there was a burst of sparks. It was as if he had slashed on gold and stone. One must know that this was not an ordinary martial instrument, but an earth-level martial instrument. Even the experts in the law manifestation realm didn't have an earth-level martial instrument. Unexpectedly, it couldn't cut open his true dragon aura shield. No wonder the poisonous young master dared to look forward to meeting Yi Shiwen when he knew that the poisonous gas couldn't do anything to Yi Shiwen. It seemed that he was greatly stimulated by Yi Shiwen after he went back. Ah, Yi Shiwen, you can't break my true dragon aura shield. This is the true dragon aura shield. It's a clan that can challenge the gods. Who do you think you are? Ha ha! The poisonous young master laughed sinisterly. Do you really think I can't do anything to you? Yi Shiwen sneered and mobilized the mystical fire in his body. Ever since he subdued this mystical fire, he didn't really have many opportunities to use it. It had always been nourished in his body. Similarly, because of the existence of this mystical fire, the impurities in Yi Shiwen's body were constantly being burned away, and the tyrant body became purer and more powerful. The demonic saber in his hand was instantly wrapped in flames, turning into a real fiery saber. Whoosh! He slashed down again. The saber aura instantly traversed the vast sky, turning the sky into a sea of fire. A truly terrifying scene appeared. These flames were completely different from the fiery saber aura that Yi Shiwen slashed out previously. Yi Shiwen's fiery saber aura previously burned the air, but now his flames were actually burning the space. The space that even the experts in the law manifestation realm couldn't break was actually burning with a sizzling sound. Everything meant that this saber had a completely different power from the previous one. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.